Chapter 794. The artifact takes a master. After a few seconds, the surrounding space began to ripple violently like the ripples of a lake. Soon afterwards, 11 spatial cracks suddenly opened up, quickly forming space gates. Immediately, many people stepped out, all from the 10 protector clans and mercenary city. To no surprise, the person leading the mercenary city group was Tian Jian, the Grand Elder of the city. Suddenly, another crack opened up. An old man in simple clothes walked out. He was by himself, but despite his appearance no one present dared to belittle him. Even the strongest people from the 10 protector clans looked at the old man seriously. Bloodsword Sect Master, Xiao Houston. I never thought you'd come too. Tian Jian smiled at the old man. The presences of over 10 Class 8 magical beasts suddenly appeared. As a human, is there a principle where I don't come for something so important? Houston said expressionlessly, his voice was very calm. However, he was far from the calmness he displayed inside. What's happened here? Why did the presences of over 10 Class 8 magical beasts suddenly appear here? An ordinary-looking middle-aged woman asked. She was the pavilion master of the Pure Heart Pavilion. And this region of space seemed to be sealed by a mysterious power just then. My space gate was unable to connect here, which delayed me very much. Otherwise, those magical beasts would definitely not have been able to flee so quickly, said a middle-aged man. He too was an expert from the 10 protector clans. The middle-aged woman from the Tsar family did not hide anything at all. She narrated everything that had happened before in detail, and did not even hide the news about the winged tiger god. What? The winged tiger god is with a junior who's both a fighter and a radiant saint master. How can people be radiant saint masters and fighters at the same time? Hearing that, the 10 protector clans all questioned it immediately. This was because on the Tian Yuan continent, a fighter could not be a radiant saint master and a radiant saint master could not be a fighter at the same time. This was an almost undebatable fact as no one had ever appeared as both of them, not even during the ancient times. I'd never think that all the Class 8 magical beasts trapped in the Radiant Saint Master Union's artifact would all come out at once. This is something extremely bad for our continent. If they work together with the experts of the Beast God continent, then the Beast God continent will power up significantly. The speaker was an ancestor of the Changyang clan, Changyang Qinyan. Let's not talk about these matters first. Finding the winged tiger god is the priority. We can't let the experts of the Beast God continent obtain it before us, or after it reaches its peak it'll be the end of our Tian Yuan continent, another person said. Why don't we work together and search the entire continent with a secret technique? We'll find his whereabouts. Another suggested. Afterwards, a Saint King stood out from each of the protector clans. Pooling their strength together, they cast a secret technique to search the entire continent. The mercenary city group did not participate in it. The Grand Elder, Tian Jian, floated in the space as he watched the people cast the technique, and he was rather anxious inside, scared of them finding where Jian was. Houston also worried. He treated Jian as his successor, and even watched on personally as Jian matured to such a level from an Earth Saint Master with a broken Saint weapon. He naturally did not wish for Jian to die young as an unprecedented prodigy. This was because he knew very well that if Jian successfully made it all the way, his achievements would definitely not be any lower than his own. Jian could even exceed him, becoming a second Saint Emperor on the continent. The search went on for roughly half an hour before finally ending. However, the people who did the searching all displayed rather ugly expressions. One of them said, "We've already searched the entire continent, but we can't find the presence of the winged tiger god. However, we found some Class 8 magical beasts from the artifact space." Hearing that, all the people of the 10 protector clans darkened in complexion, while both Tian Jian and Houston relaxed slightly. Since we can't find the winged tiger god, why don't we slaughter all those Class 8 magical beasts who escaped from the artifact? It'll weaken the Beast God continent's force. An old woman suggested with a hoarse voice. We mustn't. If we kill those magical beasts, it might weaken the Beast God continent slightly, but it'll just fan the Beast God continent's flames of rage. It'll just speed up the war between the two continents. This would be extremely bad for us. Objections appeared as soon as the old woman put forward her suggestion. Correct. We, the Tian Yuan continent, are weaker than the beast god continent. It's disadvantageous to go to war against them early. We still need some buffering time. We can only fight them after we've condensed all the power we have. The priority is still finding the winged tiger god. Several millions of kilometers away from the Holy Empire, Jian currently sat on the ground in some grassy plains, moving about to look at the palm-sized, golden tower. The craftsmanship of the tiny tower was extremely exquisite. There were a total of 9 floors and was very pretty, glittering with golden light before him. So the artifact of the Union is like this. Though, artifact spirit, why did you want to leave the Union? Jian moved the golden tower around as he looked at it and spoke as if he was talking to himself. His injuries from the Saint Ruler of the 8 clans had already completely healed from the insane recovery rate of the chaotic body. Overlord, this one has already stayed in the Union for hundreds of thousands of years. I don't want to always remain in this world. This one is willing to follow the Overlord. I only wish to see vaster worlds. The artifact spirit's voice appeared in Jian's head. His tone was extremely sincere. Artifact spirit, you're smart for knowing to follow Master. Don't worry, Master's future accomplishments is immeasurable. Once Master becomes powerful, you'll be swimming in benefits. He'll only need to collect some materials to upgrade your artifact and your strength will increase by 100-fold. Ziying's voice suddenly appeared. Jian could clearly feel the golden tower in his hand tremble extremely slightly, as if what Ziying had said caused the artifact spirit to become extremely excited. Artifact spirit, just how powerful are you right now? Can you assist me in fending off the experts of the 10 protector clans? Master, don't count on the spirit of this artifact. This artifact is not an offensive artifact, but rather a support one. Though it can be used to store some stuff, its ability to battle is pitiful. If you want it to fight enemies, it might not even be able to harm Master. Ziying's voice resounded in Jian's head. Hearing that, Jian immediately became slightly surprised. He did not believe it. How is this possible? Didn't the artifact spirit seal those Class 8 magical beasts? Why is it so weak? Overlord, you may not know, but this one is indeed a supportive artifact. My purpose is to convert the Radiant Saint Force in the surroundings into origin energy. This one can display the strength of a Saint Emperor within the artifact space, but outside this one's strength is greatly reduced. It will be difficult for this one to fight a Saint Ruler, the artifact spirit said bitterly. Jian secretly sighed. Originally he planned on just using the artifact spirit to fend off the 10 protector clans, but now it seemed to all be imagination. Artifact spirit, why don't you hurry up and accept him as your master? Ziying's dignified voice resounded in the artifact spirit's head. Hearing that, the artifact spirit immediately jerked. After a slight hesitation, he took Jian as his master all by his own accord before disappearing into the center of Jian's eyebrows as a streak of golden light. It had already arrived in Jian's sea of consciousness, floating obediently between the sword spirits that were currently absorbing the multicolored stone. Master, now that this one has accepted you as my master, Master can place the winged tiger god into the saint artifact. The artifact spirit's voice appeared in Jian's head. With that, Jian hesitated slightly before finally placing the white tiger into the space after seeing that the white tiger agreed. It was easier to conceal his identity this and could help avoid quite a lot of trouble. With the artifact spirit submitting himself, Jian also finally relaxed slightly. Now that the artifact followed him at all times, no matter where he went, reaching Class 7 was no longer a problem. He only needed to wait a year before the seal on the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force was released, allowing him to reach Class 7. Then he would possess the ability to revive the dead. Standing up, Jian fished out a set of tight blue robes and wore them. He then left after fitting himself like a fighter. 2 hours later, Jian had already traversed thousands of kilometers. He then entered a first-class city to buy a map, to find his way back home. As soon as he entered the city, Jian Shen heard about the news of the search for the winged tiger god everywhere. Even ordinary people knew about the winged tiger god. Jian Shen listened to the people's discussions about the tiger as he walked towards the largest general store in the city. He bought the largest map available. I never thought I'd have come here. Jian Shen immediately smiled bitterly after seeing the markings on the map. This was because he was currently in the Felicity Empire of the Three Great Empires, already millions of kilometers away from the Holy Empire. Why have I come to somewhere so far away? It's terrible. Without a space gate, I have no idea how much time I'd need to spend on the road before I get back to the Jian Kingdom. Jian Shen smiled bitterly, immediately pained by the thought. Whatever, let's see if I can find a space gate first or not. Jian Shen put the map away and left the city to see if he could find a space gate and leave the empire with it. It would save a lot of traveling time. 3 days later, Jian Shen flew in the sky towards a rather powerful sect that he had learned of. He wanted to see if there was a public space gate anywhere nearby. At that very moment, the space in front of him cracked open and a space gate quickly formed. A white-robed, middle-aged man stepped out. Senior. Seeing the man, Jian Shen immediately rejoiced. It was Tian, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Chapter 795, Eve of Departure. Tian had come all by himself. He seemed like an ordinary person, but his white clothes seemed to give off a celestial aura. The wind was violent high up in the sky, causing his robes to be buffeted about wildly and his long, black hair to float in the air. Tian looked at Jian Shen with a complicated look. I never thought you'd actually come to somewhere so far away. Jian Shen, it's fortunate that I still left that mark on you, or finding you really wouldn't have been easy. Jian Shen, now that the 10 protector clans are searching the entire continent to find you, it's no longer suitable for you to stay on the Yuan continent. You should quickly leave. Hearing that, Jian Shen's expression changed slightly. He said hurriedly, Senior, the white tiger now has somewhere to hide. There's no worry for it being found anymore. Also, the Yuan continent is huge. If I hide well, it'll be very difficult for them to find me. The place of hiding you mentioned must be the Saint artifact of the Radiant Saint Master Union. Tian stared deeply at Jian Shen. Currently, the shock in his heart brought on by Jian Shen was only increasing. Not only did he earn the companionship of the winged tiger god, forming an extremely deep bond with the tiger since it was young, even the barrier spirit of Mercenary City that rarely appeared seemed to have a mysterious, unknown bond with him. And now, even the Saint artifact that had existed for countless years in the Union followed Jian Shen on its own accord. This type of behavior seemed to tell Tian that the young man in front of him could not be compared to other, ordinary prodigies. Jian Shen nodded, Senior's correct. It's indeed the artifact space. The protector clans shouldn't be able to find him if the tiger stays in there. No, it's not as simple as you think. Tian gently shook his head. Jian Shen, you once stayed at the Union, so you should understand what the Saint artifact means to them. Now that you've taken away the Saint artifact, you've basically stolen the lifeblood of the Union. In the future, those searching for you probably won't just be the protector clans. The Union won't let you go either, because the artifact's just too important to them. Jian Shen said nothing. How could he not understand what Tian was saying? It was just that the Saint artifact's help was currently too valuable to him. Not only was it his only hope to reach Class 7, it was where the white tiger hid. It was indeed extremely difficult for Jian Shen to now return the artifact. Also, the artifact now had a consciousness. It had its own thoughts, and it was the artifact itself that wanted to follow him. It had even taken him on as a master. Jian Shen would struggle to do it even if he wanted to return it. The figures of the President and Grand Elder flashed across Jian Shen's eyes. He could not help but feel rather ashamed and uneasy. Not only did he fail their expectations, he even created an extremely big problem for the Union. President, Grand Elder, in the future Jian Shen will definitely make a compensation of several-fold for your losses, Jian Shen thought. Jian Shen, the Saint artifacts already existed with the Union for countless years. Even I have no idea if the Union has any way to search for the artifact, and the protector clans are already using the entire continent's power to search for you. They've also already collected drawings of you, so perhaps in the not-so-distant future those images will spread throughout the continent. When that time comes, the Tian Yuan continent is no longer somewhere you can stay. Senior, what should I do? Do I really have to leave the continent? Even if I leave, the experts of the Beast God continent will come searching for me as well. Jian heart was extremely heavy. After some thought, Jian mumbled, perhaps there's only one more place you can go now. Only that place can protect you from both the protector clans and the Beast God continent. Where's that? Jian asked curiously. To the sea race. Jian said slowly. The sea race of the four ancient races? Jian asked in astonishment. Jian nodded and confirmed, correct, the sea race of the four ancient races. Today, only the sea race possesses the power that can cause both the protector clans and the beast god continent to become fearful. This is because the sea god of the ancient times is still not dead. 1,000 years ago, I sensed the presence of the sea god. He's still alive. Hearing that, Jian jerked violently. He was greatly shocked and unsettled. The four champions of the ancient times were the strongest human, Tian, the ancient winged tiger god, the war god of the ancient 100 races, Ergens, and the sea god of the sea abyss. The four of them were all at a level where all forms of life could look up to, existences that had surpassed Saint Emperor. Jian, I'll take you back. You can't stay any longer on the Tian Yuan continent. I'll send you off after you handle the miscellaneous matters you need to deal with. Jian sighed gently. This was the only way to protect Jian. Soon afterwards, he gently waved his hand and an invisible force wrapped around Jian, sucking him into the space gate. When Jian reappeared, he was already outside Lore City in the Jian Kingdom. Tian also followed along with him. Jian, go deal with what you need to at home. I'll wait for you here, Tian said indifferently. Jian said nothing in reply. He was about to leave the Tian Yuan continent, and he became unhappy as a result because he knew he would have to leave behind all his friends and family. Once he left, he had no idea when he could return again. Perhaps he would only return after he possessed the strength to fend off both the protector clans and the beast god continent. However, he had no idea how far away that day was. Perhaps he would need thousands of years before he could return. By then, all the people would have changed. Jian carried an indescribable loneliness, flying towards the Changyang Manor of Lore City with a heavy heart. Currently in Lore City, the matter about finding the winged tiger god had already spread from mouth to mouth. Currently it had reached a level where almost all the people on the Tian Yuan continent knew about the winged tiger god. Jian returned to the manor. His arrival immediately caused the place to become lively as many elders all rushed out and surrounded him like the stars around a moon, asking about how he was. Their expression were both courteous and filled with concern, with some pride sandwiched in between. After some small conversation with all the old people of the manor, he called Uncle Chang to his room. He set up a transparent barrier around the room with a wave of his hand. Looking at Jian's behavior, Uncle Chang knew that Jian was in a bad mood. Perhaps something bad had happened? Compounded by how careful Jian was, Uncle Chang immediately became rather stern and asked, "Fourth young master, why are you being so cautious? Has something happened?" Jian turned around to look at his room. He could not help but have images of the past flash across his eyes and, with a soft sigh, he said, "Uncle Chang, I need to leave here for some time, and that time may be very long." "Young master, has something big happened?" Uncle Chang's face was filled with worry. Jian nodded slightly. "A few things have occurred. Uncle Chang, after I leave the clan will be in your care. Young master, you don't need to worry about the clan. Just be extra careful." Uncle Chang's voice was filled with concern. He could already guess that Jian had probably once more provoked powerful opponents outside. Jian produced a dozen or so Class 6 monster cores from his space ring and placed the handful on the table. He said, "Uncle Chang, these Class 6 monster cores will assist your cultivation greatly. I don't need them anymore, so you should take them. I hope the next time we meet, Uncle Chang will have already reached Saint Ruler. Jian told Uncle Chang a few more things before leaving the room. He then proceeded to the manor's back courtyard, the small quiet building where his eldest brother, Changyang, stayed. Uncle Chang eyed the monster cores left behind by Jian with a complicated gaze before slowly putting them away, one by one, into his space ring. Afterwards, he looked out the window absent-mindedly, as if he had dug up some ancient memories. After a very long while did Uncle Chang murmur quickly, now that all 10 protector clans of the continent have emerged, the news of finding the winged tiger god has spread everywhere. And that tiger cub that once accompanied the 4th young master seems extremely similar to it. Perhaps it actually is the winged tiger god? Otherwise, with his strength, young master wouldn't be forced into such a situation. Master, you've already left for hundreds of years. There's not much time until the end of your life. Just where are you? If the ancestors learned that you left behind an unprecedented prodigy for the Changyang clan, I think those ancestors would forgive you and remove your punishment. They'll let you successfully become a saint ruler. As Uncle Chang murmured, 2 turbid tears rolled down his face. Jian arrived at the small individual building where his eldest brother stayed. He saw his brother half lying in a wheelchair, being slowly pushed around the yard by a servant girl. Big brother. Jian called out, directly making his way for Changyang. Ah, it's the 4th you master. This servant greets the 4th young master. As soon as the servant girl saw Jian, she was surprised and hurriedly bowed towards Jian. 4th brother, you're finally back. Changyang looked towards Jian. An indifferent smile appeared on his face, yet his voice was extremely calm and without any emotions. Jian quickly made his way to Changyang and dismissed the servant girl. Afterwards, he pushed the wheelchair himself, taking Changyang around the yard. Jian glanced past the flowering shrubs and said softly, "Brother, I've come this time to say farewell." Changyang smiled slightly, "Brother, why don't you stay for a few more days this time instead of hurrying off? Just how many days of these past years have you spent in the manor?" Hearing that, Jian laughed dryly before pushing the wheelchair into the building. He said, "Brother, other than to bid farewell, I've come for something else this time. And that's to heal your limbs." Chapter 796, Healing Missing Limbs, Recover My Limbs? Changyang stared blankly at Jian and smiled, "Brother, have you already become a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master?" What Jian had said did not cause his brother to display any emotions of happiness. Perhaps, to him his missing limbs were no longer a matter of importance. Jian shook his head, "Brother, I still haven't reached Class 7 yet, but I do have the ability to recover your limbs. Brother, don't move. I'll send you to a certain place. Your limbs can be healed there." Jian opened his hand and a palm-sized golden tower suddenly appeared. A white streak of light shot out from it, enveloping Changyang and disappearing with him. Afterwards, Jian was also enveloped by the white light and sent into the artifact space. Only the tiny golden tower was left floating in the empty room. The reason why Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters could regrow missing limbs or even revive the dead was because of the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force. Only the origin energy could do all that. Although Jian had yet to reach Class 7 or obtain the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force, he had the Saint Artifact. If his brother was taken into the artifact space, the artifact spirit could easily heal him. Within the artifact, the hall that was destroyed in the process of breaking the ancient vow had already reappeared. Suddenly, there was a white flash of light inside and Changyang, on his wheelchair and all, appeared in the grand hall from out of nowhere. Changyang looked around the unfamiliar place. His eyes carried a sliver of blankness and curiosity. Before he could carefully look around there was another flash of light and Jian, in his fighter-like tight blue robes, had appeared beside him. "Brother, where is this?" Changyang asked out of curiosity. "Brother, this is another space. Only in here can your limbs be healed." Jian smiled. Master. A heavy voice resounded from his side. The artifact spirit had already appeared right next to Jian like a ghost, without a single sound or sign. Jian looked at the artifact spirit and said, "Artifact spirit, you'll be responsible for my brother's injuries." "Master, don't worry. Although my origin energy of Radiant Saint Force can't be absorbed by Master, it can be used to heal other people. Also, your brother's not very powerful and his body's rather fragile. If I want to heal his limbs, I will only need half a strand of the origin energy." With that, the artifact spirit made a pointing gesture. A strand of origin energy quickly condensed, shining with a dazzling white light. "Is this the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force?" Jian could not help but narrow his eyes. This was the first time he had seen it with his own eyes. He felt that there were no major differences between the origin energy and Radiant Saint Force, both were of similar characteristics. However, he could feel an extraordinarily rich force of life in the origin energy, countless times more powerful than inside the Radiant Saint Force he could control. This was a leap in quality. The disparity between the two was like a chasm. After the origin energy entered Changyang, a dazzling white light immediately rose up from his body, enveloping him inside it completely. Jian's eyes flashed in interest. He stared fixedly at Changyang, wrapped in the white light. He seemed to be able to see through the extremely dense Radiant Saint Force to see exactly what was going on inside. Gradually, a sliver of joy appeared on Jian's face from his excitement. Even his hands were tightly clenched. He could clearly see his brother's missing limbs regrow at a visible rate with the help of the origin energy. It lasted for roughly half an hour. The light around Changyang slowly dispersed, revealing his burly body. Currently Changyang remained on the wheelchair, but his sleeves and trousers were no longer empty. New legs and arms had grown. The new limbs had skin as smooth as a baby's bottom and were very thick, fitting extremely well with Changyang's burly body. On the surface of his new limbs was the faint glow of white light. It was left over, and used Radiant Saint Force. The origin energy remained in his body. It could not be used by him, nor was it controlled by him, but it would bring unbelievable benefits. If he was heavily injured again in the future, this residue would come into great use. Changyang looked at his newly grown limbs, but he did not become excited. Instead, his gaze became rather complicated. He stood up from the wheelchair with some stiff movements, and walked around a few times in the hall. He sighed softly, having it healed is good too. At least, in the future I can take care of myself. I don't need to be served by people. It'll be much more convenient. Having his limbs healed only seemed to be helpful to Changyang's everyday life. That was the limit of it. "Brother, you can keep cultivating in the future," Jian said softly. He could not tell how his brother was feeling from how he was acting. Changyang gently shook his head. "No, I don't plan on cultivating any more in the future. Brother, I've seen through life these days. From your brother's perspective, even powerful fighters may not be able to lead lives as happy as ordinary people. Also, no matter how strong you are, don't you still end up the same as those ordinary people? Everything turns into a piles of dust, dissipating along with the wind and disappearing forever. Even the 4 champions of the ancient times could not escape the corrosion of time. They've already vanished from this world." Jian sighed secretly. He knew that there was a great change to his eldest brother after being traumatized this badly. He even doubted if the Changyang currently before him was still the same brother who studied with him at Kargath Academy. His brother's limbs had all healed. This was supposed to be something that was worth celebrating over. However, with his brother like this he could not become happy no matter what. Jian turned to the artifact spirit. "Artifact spirit, can you revive people from the dead?" "Master, my limit is regrowing limbs. Reviving people from the dead is not something I, an artifact spirit, can do. This is because there's a need to learn the 3 soul-controlling techniques. One must use those techniques to condense the deceased soul, nourish it with the origin energy and then fuse it into the body. That is how the dead can be revived." The artifact spirit explained. Hearing that, Jian furrowed his eyebrows slightly. He had stayed at the Union for quite some time, but he had never thought that there was a need for 3 soul-controlling techniques to bring back the deceased. Are you unable to learn the 3 techniques, even with your ability? Jian asked again. The artifact spirit was bitter-faced and smiled bitterly. Master, there's a need to have a soul to practice the 3 techniques. This one is only the spirit from an artifact. I don't have a soul, so naturally I can't learn them. However, this one knows the way to learn the techniques. But only Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters with the origin energy can learn them. Once Master reaches Class 7, this one will tell Master the way to practice these techniques. A sliver of disappointment appeared in Jian's eyes. He originally thought he could borrow the artifact spirit's power to revive his parents. However, he had never thought that 3 soul-controlling techniques needed to be mastered before any reviving could happen. Whatever, I'll put the matter of reviving my parents to the side for now, Jian thought before taking his brother out of the artifact space with him. They returned to the small, lonely building. The 2 of them talked for 2 hours before Jian bid farewell. During that time, Changyang who did not ask about the saint artifact at all. Perhaps some things were no longer able to cause him to become curious. Afterwards, Jian visited his first aunt, Ling Long, and his second aunt, Yu Fengyang. After that, he left the manor. An hour later, Jian arrived at a grand inn in the center of the city. The inn had only been opened for a few years, but it was the largest and most luxurious in the city. It was also the safest inn in the entire Lore City. No one in the entire kingdom, even the large clans, dared to make any trouble for the inn, let alone the people in the city. This was because all the people knew that the owner of the inn had an extremely deep relationship with the number 1 clan of the kingdom, the Changyang clan. Also, her connection with the imperial protector of the clan, the 4th young master of the Changyang clan, was something else. If she was offended, it would be indirectly offending Changyang Shangtian as well. As a result, the inn was famous across the entire kingdom even with only a few years of being run. Even outsider mercenaries and merchants would obediently hide away their arrogance, unwilling to act wildly while they were in the inn. Jian found the owner and Sans in the inn, people whom he had not met for a very long time. He departed straight away after some casual conversation. Departing from the inn, Jian directly left the city. Immediately, a voice boomed in his head. Have you dealt with the matters at home? I've done it all, but I need to pop into where the flame mercenaries are, Jian said with a rather gruff voice. I'll take you there. Try to deal with everything within a day. I need to send you off the continent today. I fear that once it's been dragged out, the situation will develop more and more against you. The 10 protector clans are deeply rooted great clans. Although you are hiding your presence, which prevents them from finding you temporarily, you must not drag it out for too long. Once they use the secret techniques from ancient times, it doesn't matter where you hide. With that, Tian directly split open the space to form a crack, taking Jian away. Chapter 797, Farewell currently by Hai, Yu, Bai Lian, Ming Dong, Dugu Feng and a few other people who Jian trusted the most were gathered in the conference hall of the Flame Mercenaries. They were all discussing something, each with stern expressions. The entire room was enveloped by a clear barrier. They were extremely cautious. That winged tiger beast searched for by the ancient clans just looks too similar to the white tiger Jian has. They're both white tiger cubs, and they both have a pair of snow-white, feathered wings. Do you think the winged tiger god is Xiao Bai, or not? Ming Dong was extremely grim. He naturally knew that things would be troublesome if Xiao Bai was the winged tiger god. I too think Xiao Bai is extremely similar to the ancient winged tiger god mentioned by the Tian clan. Perhaps Xiao Bai really is the ancient beast god? Bai Lian's eyebrows were furrowed and she seemed extremely anxious. She knew that if Xiao Bai was the winged tiger god it would definitely be taken away by the Tian clan, and there would be conflict if Jian was unwilling. It'll be problematic if that is the case. According to the news I've just received, the entire world seems to be looking everywhere for the winged tiger god right now. I hope Jian is fine. The speaker was Yu. who wore a pink dress. She wore light makeup which made her devastating beauty even more alluring. Combined with her worry, she seemed rather pitiful, causing people to feel sympathetic. I wonder where Jian Chen is right now. I hope he can return safely. Yuan said softly. She too was worried. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. This is not an everyday matter. It's best if we don't discuss about this just between us, because even if there's a barrier up there, may be people even more powerful than me who can directly eavesdrop on us. Let's talk about it after my grandson returns. The ancestor of the Bai clan spoke out. Even though he was grim, his voice carried an authoritative heaviness. With that, everyone immediately stopped their discussion. Ignoring Bai Hai's strength, just his identity as Jian Chen's grandfather was enough to deter everyone from offending him. The people there did not dare to disobey Bai Hai. At that very moment, Bai Hai's expression changed suddenly. He shot up from his chair as a sliver of joy appeared on his face. My grandson is back. What? Jian Chen is back? Ming Dong and everyone else were first surprised before rejoicing. Bai Hai removed the barrier around the hall as the doors to the hall slowly opened. A blue-robed Jian Chen and white-clothed Tian Jian walked in slowly. Jian Chen, you're finally back. Uncle Tian, why have you come too? Seeing the two people, Ming Dong immediately exclaimed out of pleasant surprise. Jian Chen, you've finally come back. Jian Chen's safe return caused Bai Lian, Yu, and Yuan to all rejoice. They all called out gently, their voices filled with happiness. Bai Hai saw Jian Chen. Just when he was about to speak, he suddenly noticed Tian Jian beside him from the corner of his eye. His expression changed slightly, immediately hurrying up. He clasped his hands towards Tian Jian courteously. Junior greets the grand elder. No need to be so polite. Tian Jian smiled before looking at Ming Dong. His gaze immediately became benevolent, and he said, Child, you've already reached heaven, Saint Master. Not bad at all. Your talent is very impressive. I hope you can continue to cultivate arduously. You'll definitely have some achievements in the future. Ming Dong chuckled and hurried to Tian Jian. He said, Uncle Tian, let's not talk about that for now. Right now, we have more important things we need to discuss with Jian Chen. Ming Dong paused before continuing. We've received news from the Tianmu clan for the Flame Mercenaries to put down everything we're currently doing and devote all our strength to finding the Winged Tiger God as soon as possible. The Winged Tiger God the Tianmu clan wants is very similar to Xiao Bai. Do you think they're searching for him? Oh yeah, why isn't Xiao Bai with you? Xiao Bai is currently staying in an extremely well-hidden place. As for the Winged Tiger God people are searching for, it indeed is Xiao Bai. Jian Chen did not conceal it. Now that the situation had already developed like this, he no longer had any need to continue concealing the White Tiger's identity. What? Xiao Bai really is the Winged Tiger God? Perhaps the Tianmu clan is in search for it because they want to tame it to become their protector beast? Yu said from shock. Her expression became more grim. No, those in search of the Winged Tiger God is the not Tianmu clan, but rather the 10 protector clans. Jian Chen said. Seeing everyone's confusion, he continued, the 10 protector clans are the 10 most powerful clans on the Tian Yuan continent. They completely supersede ancient clans. Even the ancient clans needs to listen to their orders. Oh my God. The protector clans are so powerful. Brother, what do you intend to do? Bai Lian became even more worried. I will be leaving the Tian Yuan continent. This time, I have come to bid farewell. Jian Chen said heavily. This time, he had no idea when he would be able to return. He had no idea when the next time he would be able to meet or see these people again would be. Jian Chen stayed with the Flame Mercenaries for the entire afternoon. He dealt with what he needed to deal with, and gave full authority to Bai Lian and Yu to deal with the problems of development. As for Bai Hai and Jie Tai, they stood guard and protected the mercenaries as saint rulers. Jian Chen, I won't be dealing with the matters of the mercenaries. After you leave, I'll immediately find a quiet place to go into seclusion. Ming Dong suddenly stood up. His eyes flowed with a determined light. The situation that forced Jian Chen to leave the continent affected Ming Dong very much and aroused his determination to work hard and become stronger. This was because he knew that even though he was now a Heaven Saint Master, he was of no help to Jian Chen. He could only watch on helplessly as his brother, someone who had been through thick and thin with him, had to endure the great pressure and leave the continent. He could do nothing. This made Ming Dong feel horrible. Strength. Strength. Only with strength does one have the right to survive. Jian Chen produced over 20 Class 6 monster cores and passed it to Ming Dong. Ming Dong, you can't rush cultivation. The energy hidden within monster cores have a violent factor. If you don't properly overcome them, they can leave behind irremovable problems. I'm giving these Class 6 monster cores to you. I hope you can use them prudently. You mustn't use them with undue haste. Don't worry, brother. I'm not stupid, I know what to do. Ming Dong guaranteed sincerely. Jian Chen looked towards Huang Yuan and his gaze became rather complicated. He pulled out a great pile of Class 5 monster cores from his space ring and said, Yuaner, you have very great talent. You're a prodigy rarely seen even in 1,000 years, reaching 3rd cycle Earth Saint Master without any heavenly resources or monster cores. I am giving these monster cores to you, not for you to use but to prepare for the case you need them in the future. Huang Yuan's eyes were watery. She looked at Jian Chen, unwilling to part, and said softly, Jian Chen, when are you going to come back? Jian Chen sighed softly, even I don't know. Huang Yuan could no longer hold it back and tears began to roll down her face. She already understood that it might be an extremely long time before she could see Jian Chen again. Jian Chen sighed once more before arriving beside Yuan. Don't overwork for the mercenaries. If you can, just leave matters for the people below to handle. Once I leave, you need to work hard on your cultivation. That's the only way you can lengthen your life. I hope you're a Heaven Saint Master next time I see you. Yu's tears gushed out like a fountain. She gently bit her lips and would sob from time to time. She sobbed, Jian Chen, Yuan will definitely work hard on cultivation. Yuan will wait for you to return. Jian Chen looked at Bai Lian and a sliver of affection appeared in his eyes. He said, Lianer, you also need to cultivate properly. Brother, you must promise Lianer that you will return safe and sound. Bai Lian cried. Her voice was already unclear from the crying. My father's gone, my mother's gone, and so is my aunt. Brother, Lianer can't lose you as well. Reaching the end, she threw herself onto Jian Chen's chest. She wailed in tears, clearly heartbroken. Lianer, brother promises that he will return safe and sound. After a farewell that seemed like they were separating forever, Jian Chen and Tian finally left the Flame Mercenaries. Senior, I want to go to the Qinhuang Kingdom. I want to retrieve my parents' bodies. Jian Chen said. Tian nodded slightly and directly sliced open the space, taking Jian Chen to the sky above the kingdom. Afterwards, Jian Chen directly entered the Imperial Palace, heading towards the Qin Heaven Palace. At that very moment, 4 powerful presences appeared in the distance. The 4 Imperial protectors simultaneously hurried out from the palace, blocking Jian Chen's path. Jian Chen remained without expression. He looked at the 4 of them calmly and clasped his hands at them. Jian Chen greets the 4 seniors. The 4 Imperial protectors eyes Jian Chen with a complicated gaze. Qin Yunlong sighed gently, Jian Chen, it's best if you come back. You already know all about it? Jian Chen's expression remained the same. He had anticipated this long ago as Old Man Situ and Mating had announced his real name back in the City of God. Correct, we learned about this already. We've heard about the matter of Yang Yutian in the City of God, Qin Yunlong said with a mixture of many emotions. Jian Chen paused for a while and then said, I am going to retrieve my parents right now. Are you blocking me? The 4 Imperial protectors did not reply immediately. Currently they felt extremely conflicted and, after a while of pause, it was still Qin Yunlong who spoke. Jian Chen, the people blocking you are not us. The ancestor of the Kara clan has already come to the kingdom, and he's currently in the imperial palace. Chapter 798. Encountering Nubis unexpectedly. What Qin Yunlong said in the end caused Jian Chen to furrow his eyebrows slightly. The light in his eyes flickered a few times before he asked calmly, "Does the ancestor of the Kara clan want to stop me from leaving and hand me over to the 10 protector clans as a meritorious deed?" Qin Yunlong sighed gently. "Jian Chen, we never thought you would actually be able to cause such a great commotion. Not only have you raised the winged tiger god, you even took the treasure of the Radiant Saint Master Union. Even though we are one of the 8 great kingdoms, this has completely exceeded what we can manage. We also have no idea why the ancestor of the Kara clan has suddenly come. Jian Chen, the ancestor wants to see you. Please come with us to the Qin Heaven Palace. Lead the way then. I hope the Kara clan won't do anything that angers me, or I can only forget what Miss Kara Liwei did to help me in the artifact space." Jian Chen said expressionlessly, unperturbed and calm. The arrival of the Kara clan ancestor did not cause Jian Chen to fear, as the Grand Elder of Mercenary City was also in the kingdom. If the ancestor wanted to do anything to him, he believed that Tian Jian would step in. Jian Chen followed the 4 imperial protectors to the majestic Qin Heaven Palace. In the large guest room, Jian Chen finally met the ancestor of the Kara clan. The ancestor seemed to be a man in his 30s. He seemed educated and refined, like a scholar, and his movements were filled with the nobility of aristocrats. The handsome man's skin seemed white and soft. His exquisite features combined flawlessly on his face, while his pitch-dark eyes were extremely profound, as if they contained a world of their own inside. Even though he was already middle-aged, he was a handsome man that could cause countless females to fall in love with him. "Greetings, Senior. The imperial protector of the Qinhuang Kingdom, Jian Chen, has come." The 4 imperial protectors clasped their hands at the man, their expressions filled with respect. The man elegantly took a sip of tea before turning towards Jian Chen. "You are Yang Yutian? As well as the previous king of mercenaries, the imperial protector of the Qinhuang Kingdom, Jian Chen?" "Senior is correct. That is me. I, Jian Chen, greet the senior." Jian Chen clasped his hands at the middle-aged man and spoke calmly. His gaze was unjudging while his expression was unperturbed, without even the slightest fear. The ancestor stood up and walked around Jian Chen in interest twice, constantly observing him. He seemed like he wanted to get to know Jian Chen's inside and outside completely. "Not bad, not bad. Jian Chen, I've already learned about your achievements from the 4 of them. In just a few years you went from being an Earth Saint Master to a powerful Saint Ruler, as well as a Class 6 Radiant Saint Master. You also grasped the 3 great radiant arts of the Radiant Saint Master Union. Your talent is so great that it is unprecedented in history and will probably never be overtaken in the future. I was tongue-tied after learning these exact details about you. This is just unbelievable." The ancestor marveled at him. Jian Chen's talent had indeed stunned him. "I thank Senior for his praise. Senior definitely has other things to discuss to meet Junior after hurrying over from the faraway Holy Empire." Jian Chen remained calm, without the slightest trace of pride or arrogance on his face. Looking at how unperturbed Jian Chen remained, the ancestor nodded in satisfaction once again. He constantly walked around Jian Chen with small steps and asked, "Jian Chen, are you really 24 this year?" "Why does Senior ask that?" Jian Chen asked in response. The ancestor laughed coolly and said, "It is just too rare for a 24-year-old to have such accomplishments and yet maintain such modest attitude. You are the most outstanding prodigy out of all the ones I've seen in all these years. Alright, let's not talk about that anymore. Jian Chen, do you know why I have come this time?" The man changed his tone as he became stern. He stared at Jian Chen in interest. If Junior has guessed correctly, Senior has come for 2 matters. 1, regarding the Protector clan's search for the winged tiger god, and 2, the saint artifact of the Union. Jian Chen replied. "Correct. I have indeed come for those 2 matters." "Jian Chen, Do you know what the existence of the winged tiger god means for the continent? Do you know what kind of threat the continent will be facing? This will be a calamity. You shielding the winged tiger god like this and assisting its growth is extremely likely to bring a disaster to the continent, the person said extremely sternly. Jian rejected the notion flatly by shaking his head. Senior, the conclusion you've reached is a little subjective. As long as the continent does nothing that harms the winged tiger god, I can guarantee you that it definitely won't do anything that will harm or endanger the continent after it grows up. The ancestor stared at Jian with a fixed gaze. After staring for a while with narrowed eyes, he finally relaxed slightly. I hope so too. But the matter of the winged tiger god will naturally be dealt by the protector clans. I have no right to interfere. Coming at this time and asking about the winged tiger god was actually secondary. My main intention is for the saint artifact of the Union. Jian, the saint artifact is just too important to the Union. They cannot afford to lose it, because once it is gone no more Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters will appear and, as a result, the Union will lose their status. The Union will even completely collapse. We all know that the artifact follows you out of its own accord, so we hope that you can personally return the artifact to the Union. The ancestor said sincerely. Jian's expression became ugly. Senior, it is very difficult for me to return the saint artifact right now. However, I will definitely make up for the loss the Union has suffered in the future. The man's expression became slightly grim and said, Jian, the saint artifact is just too important to the Union. Do you really plan on not returning it? Senior, the artifact has a spirit, and it has already accepted me as its master. How can I return it? Also, as I've already said, I will make up for the Union's losses in the future. Jian replied. The light in the ancestor's eyes flickered. After a slight hesitation, he finally sighed gently. All right, since you insist on it, I won't be trying to force you. I only hope that, in the future, if my Kara clan has any Class 6 Radiant Saint Masters who want to reach Class 7, you can use the Saint Artifact to help them out. That child, Kara Liwei, has already reached the peak of Class 6. She will never be able to break through successfully without the artifact's help. Senior does not need to worry. I owe Miss Kara Liwei a favor. If your Kara clan is in need of the origin energy of the artifact, this one will definitely help out. Jian said. Then I can relax. Jian, I won't be wasting any more of your time. You can go retrieve your parents' bodies. The ancestor allowed Jian to go with a wave of his hand. He did not make things difficult for Jian. Junior bids farewell. Jian clasped his hands at the ancestor of the Kara clan before heading directly for where his parents' bodies were kept. Afterwards, he left. When Jian left, the ancestor sighed. He mumbled to himself, my Kara clan cannot offend descendants of the Changyang clan. Although I don't know if the Changyang clan of Lore City is connected with that Changyang clan or not, it's still best if I don't offend them. Just in case it really is that Changyang clan, it'll be great trouble for my Kara clan. Also, Jian's presence had suddenly appeared in the Qinhuang kingdom. He must have a saint king accompanying him, and I didn't even sense that person's presence. Looks like his strength is far beyond mine. Jian did not meet any obstructions when he removed his parents' body. He left after temporarily placing them in his space ring. Currently, Jian was soaring in the sky to leave the city. That was where he and Tian had agreed to meet. At that very moment, a golden streak of light shot over from the distance with lightning speed. When the streak of light had noticed Jian, it immediately changed in direction and headed straight for him. Jian stopped and stared at the streak of light in interest. Soon after, a sliver of surprise appeared in his eyes and he cried out, "That's Nubis, why is he here?" The golden light stopped before Jian, revealing the gold-clothed Nubis. Currently, he was pale-faced without the slightest trace of blood, while there was residue blood at the corner of his lips. He was already heavily injured and in an extremely horrible shape. Nubis saw Jian and also revealed a sliver of surprise on his face. However, it was soon replaced by anxiety, and he said hurriedly, "Jian, leave here quickly." There's an old snake chasing me. With that, Nubis pulled Jian by the arm without any further explanations, flying towards Mercenary City. We need to head to Mercenary City with our greatest speed. Only by alerting the experts of the city can we escape safely. Nubis' tone was filled with urgency, as if he currently faced some great danger. Nubis, just what happened? Jian asked curiously. He had known Nubis for so long, yet this was the first time he had ever seen Nubis in such a bad shape. An old snake's come from the beast god continent. He's a silver-striped gold snake like me. He infiltrated the Tian Yuan continent using a secret technique to hide his presence from the human experts. He wants to kill me and devour me for my hidden essence. Nubis displayed a grimness he had never shown before, shooting through the sky with his greatest speed with Jian in tow. He headed straight for Mercenary City. Chapter 799. Jian steps in. Haha, you little snake, you think you can run? Obediently offer up your hidden essence. Just as Nubis finished speaking, a heavy voice appeared. A burly, gold-robed middle-aged man appeared out of nowhere, blocking Jian and Nubis' path. Nubis became extremely ugly. He cried out angrily, "It's very close to the Mercenary City. If you dare to attack, you'll definitely alert the authority of Mercenary City. When that happens, you'll be doomed even if you're Class 8. Hee, you, little snake, are pretty smart to know that there are very few people who are my opponent on this continent, which was why you fled towards Mercenary City. But you used a secret technique to flee without paying attention to the consequences and now you're completely burned out. I only need a twitch of a finger to kill you. I won't alert the human experts at all." The middle-aged man sneered while he extended his hand towards Nubis. Wherever it passed by, a powerful energy would rip open the space. It seemed simple, but it contained a great power that could collapse mountains. Currently, Jian and Nubis were both trapped in the suddenly condensed space lock and were completely immobilized. They could only watch on helplessly as the hand quickly approached them, as they just did not have the power to forcefully break the space lock from a Class 8 magical beast. A magical beast dares to infiltrate my Tian Yuan continent. How dare you? At that very moment, a grim, cold voice boomed in the sky. The white-robed Jian suddenly appeared right in front of Jian and Nubis. With a pointing gesture, the space in front of him trembled. A finger-sized hole directly appeared in the hand reaching towards the two of them. Not only did Jian's gesture pierce the magical beast's hand, it even passed through to his chest, punching a finger-sized hole into it. The tough body of the Class 8 magical beast was like tofu before Jian's casual pointing gesture. The Class 8 magical beast produced a muffled grunt and stared at the sudden appearance of Jian in shock. When he recognized who Jian was, he immediately paled in fright, completely terrified. He did not even have the intention of putting up a fight, instead immediately disappearing without hesitation. He had fled with a secret technique. Jian remained expressionless. He said, 9 godly secrets, world lock. The space in the surrounding thousands of kilometers immediately froze. It seemed to be sealed up by a mysterious but powerful energy, and it was not just space, time itself seemed to freeze. In that very moment, the air froze and time stopped. Everything fell into silence. The magical beast reappeared hundreds of kilometers away. Currently, he was locked up in the air in a fleeing posture, completely unable to move and absolutely terrified. Jian took a single step. He traversed the hundreds of kilometers and arrived before the magical beast. He gently placed his hand onto the magical beast's head. The Class 8 magical beast trembled and the light in his eyes quickly disappeared. They had become lifeless. Jian's gentle hand had already extinguished his origin soul, killing him instantly without the chance for a counterattack. With the death of the magical beast, the surrounding space recovered to how it was before. Jian appeared beside Jian with a flash, carrying the magical beast's corpse, and said, "I'd never think that a Class 8 magical beast would infiltrate our continent, though fortunately it met me. Otherwise, with his superior ability for battle as a beast of antiquity, there aren't many people who could stop him. Jian and Nubis were stunned as they stared at the middle-aged man in Tian's hand. The shock they experienced had already reached the absolute limit. A Class 8 magical beast, not to mention a silver-striped golden snake beast of antiquity, had been slaughtered by Tian without the slightest difficulty, just like that. The strength displayed by Tian had already deeply astounded them. They had never thought that killing a Class 8 magical beast, something equal in strength to a human Saint King, could be done so easily. Killing a Class 8 magical beast was just like having a meal to Tian. He did not have any particular reaction. Everything seemed ordinary and unimportant to him. Standing in front of Jian, he calmly gazed at him and asked, "Has everything been dealt with?" Jian sucked in a deep breath and glanced at Tian's hand, still rather perturbed. It was still a human-form Class 8 magical beast. Gulping with difficulty, he said, "Senior, Junior's dealt with everything. We can leave right now. We can't waste time. Leave with me this instant." Tian directly cut open the space with a swing of his hand, creating a space gate with his ability as a Saint King. "Jian, where are you going?" "Oh yeah, I felt the presences of several experts from the Beast God continent a few days ago. Have those magical beasts perhaps come to the Yuan continent?" Nubis also recovered from the shock and asked on one side. In the past few days he had faced the pursuit of the old snake, unable to contact anybody as he left the mercenaries. He had since been on the run for his life and still did not know that the news of the winged tiger god had already been leaked. Jian nodded, "Those experts have come for the winged tiger god. The news has already been leaked and the 10 protector clans are searching the entire continent for me. It's no longer safe for me to stay here. I need to take refuge with the sea race." The sea race. Nubis was slightly surprised. After some deliberation, he said, "I still don't know if there are other experts of the same species as me from the Beast God continent. Since they've already entered the Yuan continent, it's no longer safe for me to stay either. Once a magical beast of the same species finds me, it'll become troublesome. I'm a magical beast, so those human experts can only wish for us to kill each other. They definitely won't be saving me. Jian, I might as well just go to where the sea race is with you." Silver-striped golden snakes were beasts of antiquity, but were an extremely brutal species. If they wanted to gain strength quickly or evolve, they needed to kill their own clansmen to absorb the hidden essence. "That works too. Senior Tian, why not bring Nubis along?" Jian requested. "Yeah, with you two together you'll have a great chance at surviving. Though I must warn you about something. The strength and situation of the sea race is unknown, and the sea god is still alive. They may be much more powerful than the Yuan continent. You two need to be careful about everything once you arrive." "Don't worry, Senior, we will definitely be cautious," Jian replied. Tian then turned to Nubis and tossed the Class 8 magical beast corpse to him. He said, "This silver-striped golden snake's already at the 4th heavenly layer. As the same species, you should be able to absorb the hidden essence from it. It should let you power up by quite a lot. You should take it." Nubis immediately became extremely excited. He hurriedly accepted the corpse. The serendipity was so great that even his voice began trembling. "I thank Senior. Junior will never forget Senior's kindness. Junior will always remember it and return this favor in the future when he gets the chance." To Nubis, Tian's gift of the Class 8 magical beast corpse was virtually the same as receiving a great fortune. The magical beast had even reached the 4th heavenly layer. If he absorbed the hidden essence, his strength would skyrocket or even evolve. Tian paid no attention to Nubis. The sea race's territory is located in the direction of the Northern Ocean. It's extremely far away from the ocean, so if I created a space gate with such a great distance it would most definitely be discovered by other experts. Let's first go back to Mercenary City. You can use the space gate there to slip out without anyone knowing." As he spoke, Tian waved his hand and sucked Jian and Nubis into a space gate. After Tian had left, a person appeared there without a sound. He stared at where the space gate closed up grimly and mumbled, Jian definitely has a Saint King beside him, and that person's strength is too terrifying. He actually slaughtered a 4th heavenly layer Class 8 magical beast without much effort at all. That's definitely not something I can do. And that space-locking technique before was definitely a Saint-tier battle skill. It seems like the supreme skill of Mercenary City, the 9 godly secrets. As legend puts it, it was left behind by Mo Tian years ago and has a total of 9 forms. One of the forms, World Lock, seems to have an effect like that. Perhaps the person with Jian is an expert from Mercenary City? This person was the ancestor of the Kara clan. When Jian and Nubis reappeared, they were in the floating palace where Jian had initially met Jian during the gathering of mercenaries. Standing in the palace, Jian hesitated for a while before clasping his hands at Jian. Senior, Junior has an unreasonable request. I wish to leave my parents' bodies in Mercenary City. After I leave this time, I do not know if I am able to return in the future. If I cannot, I hope Senior can find ways to revive my parents. After a slight deliberation, Jian nodded. Jian did not choose to take his parents' bodies with him to where the sea race resided. He had no ideas of the dangers, or even if he was going to return alive. If he was dead, his parents would have no chance of revival. As a result, in the end he chose to leave his parents behind in Mercenary City. Big brother, you've finally come to see Xiaoling. Xiaoling misses you so much. At that moment, a clear and rather childish voice resounded in Jian's mind. Afterwards, the small figure of Xiaoling appeared in the palace. Big brother, what's wrong? Did you encounter something unhappy? Xiaoling can feel big brother's unhappiness. But that doesn't matter. Big brother, you will smile as soon as you see Xiaoling. Right brother? Big brother, let's smile. Xiaoling arrived beside Jian, clinging onto Jian's arm affectionately and shaking it. Xiaoling's appearance finally helped lessen Jian's unhappiness from having to travel long and far from his homeland. A vague smile appeared on his face, and he said, Xiaoling, Big brother is going to be going on a long journey very soon. Even Big brother has no idea when he will return this time. Big brother might not be able to see you in the future for a very long time. Chapter 800, Leaving the Tian Yuan continent. As soon as she heard that Jian would be leaving, Xiaoling immediately became frantic. She said, almost in tears, where are you going, big brother? Are you going to find master? Big brother can't abandon Xiaoling. Reaching that point, Xiaoling's expression suddenly changed. She carefully sniffed Jian and her eyes became shrouded in doubt. She said, weird, big brother, the smell of master on you has become much fainter. Ah, Xiaoling knows, big brother must have been separated from master for too long, causing master's smell to grow faint. Xiaoling is so smart. Suddenly, Xiaoling gave soft interjection of surprise. She closely observed Jian as disbelief appeared in her eyes. She then pursed her lips and said, big brother, you're so wasteful. You absorbed so much energy from Xiaoling's place. Why is there only this little left? Xiaoling spent a long time gathering this energy. Big brother is too unappreciative. Jian smiled bitterly. Back then, against the 8 clans in the City of God, his terrifying strike had indeed consumed too much chaotic force. The originally thumb-sized amount had already shrunken to the size of a soybean. He had consumed a large portion of his chaotic force. Xiaoling, it's not that big brother wants to be so wasteful, but when big brother was caught up in a situation of life or death he had no choice but to, Jian said in apology. After all, the reason why he could achieve the chaotic body so quickly was all because of Xiaoling. Nubis and Tian both stopped walking. They looked at Jian, wondering just who he was conversing with. However, when they glanced over they saw Jian smiling at empty space and talking to himself like an insane man. At least Tian understood. He knew that Jian must be talking to the ghost-like barrier spirit. The barrier spirit was extremely peculiar. if she did not want anyone to see her, no one would be able to discover her. Even with Jian's abilities, he was currently unable to detect her. However, Nubis did not know about this. His gaze towards Jian immediately became extremely weird. It was definitely the first time such an interesting expression had appeared on his face. That's fine, as long as Big Brother is safe and sound. Big Brother, Xiaoling will definitely beat up all the bastards who bully Big Brother. But Xiaoling can't help Big Brother power up. The seal's been budging. Xiaoling needs to devote all her power into maintaining the seal. Jian smiled. Xiaoling, Big Brother doesn't need you to help him strengthen up. Big Brother will think of his own ideas. As soon as he finished speaking, a hand began waving in front of Jian's face. It was Nubis, currently staring at Jian with an extremely weird expression. He asked worriedly, Jian, are you fine? You say Xiaoling and then Big Brother, just who are you talking to? Why were you talking to yourself there? Jian's current behavior caused Nubis to worry slightly. He thought, God damn it, Jian's currently being forced off the continent by the Protector clans. His burden must be huge. Has he become insane because the burden's too big? There's some problems with his head. Jian glared at Nubis before looking back at Xiaoling. Xiaoling, Big Brother will be leaving. When Big Brother returns, he will definitely come and see you. Xiaoling looked at Jian tearfully. Big Brother, you are promising Xiaoling that you will definitely come back to see Xiaoling. You can't be like Master, disappearing without coming back. Only on Big Brother does Xiaoling feel the presence of Master. Big Brother is the closest to Xiaoling after Master. This is it. We still haven't even left the continent and Jian's already become like this. Once we leave, Jian's situation will definitely worsen. What do I do? Currently, Nubis had already confirmed his thoughts. Jian had already gone mad. He was actually talking to the air. The situation was extremely bad. Even he had started worrying for Jian. After bidding farewell to Xiaoling, Jian walked towards Tian. He said, Senior, let's go. Tian nodded, leading Jian towards the depths of the palace. Jian, are you fine? Have you recovered? Nubis walked in front of Jian and turned around, eyeing him doubtfully. He seemed to be unable to tell if Jian had really gone mad or not. When Jian saw Nubis' grimness, he could not help but smile slightly. There's nothing wrong with me. Then who were you talking to before? Nubis asked weirdly. That was the barrier spirit of Mercenary City. You can't see her. Jian did not hide it because he knew that the existence of the barrier spirit was not a secret. The barrier spirit, is that so? Nubis suddenly came to an understanding. Jian and Nubis followed behind Tian and they entered a square in the very center of the palace. The square was elevated around the edge, forming a platform. A space gate flowing with 5 different colors floated on the platform with a radius of 1.5 meters. Through the gate was a clear blue ocean, connecting the place to the palace. After you pass through the space gate, travel for a few tens of kilometers. There you will discover an island. Find the mistress of the island and learn about the sea race from her. She stays there all year and should know quite a bit of detailed information about the sea race. Her island is extremely close to the sea abyss. Tian stood at the space gate, eyeing Jian as he spoke. Yes, Senior. Jian clasped his hands at Tian in gratitude before leaving through the space gate with Nubis. With just a single step, he left the Yuan continent and arrived in the sky above the great blue ocean. Jian and Nubis floated at an altitude of several hundred meters, looking at the distant water. The space gate had already disappeared behind them. Is this the ocean? We're already a distance so far that even I don't know where we are compared to the continent. Even the edge of the continent can't be seen. Floating above the ocean, Jian mumbled to himself. His expression was a very complicated mixture of many emotions. Nubis was the exact opposite of Jian. He looked around the surroundings excitedly, at the deep blue and calm ocean surface. He laughed loudly. I, the great Nubis, have finally left the continent to see the ocean. Sea race of the sea abyss, I, the great Nubis, am coming. Allow me to see the mysterious sea race that even the seniors of my species have yet to completely understand. I, the great Nubis, am destined to add to the inherited memories of us silver-striped golden snakes with this trip. With that, Nubis pulled Jian along urgently. He said, Jian, let's quickly find that island mistress mentioned by the Grand Elder. Just as Jian left the continent, Ming Dong had already bid farewell to everyone at the distant flame mercenaries before personally going into seclusion in the depths of mountains. Jian, it's always been you who has selflessly helped me these years, while the help I've given you is almost non-existent. From now on, I, Ming Dong, will spend all my time cultivating here until your return. Ming Dong sat down with his legs crossed in a pitch-black cave. His eyes shone with an unprecedented determination and, shortly afterwards, he pulled out several Class 6 monster cores and a white skeleton from his space ring. He mumbled, Jian, the Class 6 monster cores you've left behind will be the energy I use to reach the 6th cycle, while the Saint Ruler skeleton we obtained in the space of that trials back at Mercenary City will be my hope for becoming a Saint Ruler. By the time you return, I will definitely have become a Saint Ruler, or even a Saint King. At the same time, the Radiant Saint Master Union President gathered with several elders in the Union headquarters. They all sat around in distress. Have you found Yang Yutian's whereabouts? After a long period of silence, an old voice finally broke it. It was the President of the Union, speaking with a darkened expression. Jian had taken away the Saint artifact of the Union. That was equivalent to destroying the entire Union, because the Saint artifact was just too important. They could not afford to lose it. I've already launched all the forces of the Union, and even gotten the Kara clan and Kazda clan to help find Yang Yutian. There should be news soon, a white-robed, purple-badged elder said gruffly. Losing the artifact had sucked all the elders into a bad mood. At that very moment, a black-clothed, middle-aged man walked in. His arrival immediately attracted the attention of all the elders seated. Have you found Yang Yutian's whereabouts? The president immediately asked. He stared fixedly at the man, his anxious feelings already clearly leaking onto his face. President, Yang Yutian has not been found, but we have found out about Yang Yutian's identity. The man said. Tell me. The president was rather impatient. No one was more worried about the Saint artifact than him, because not only was it the treasure of the Union, it was also his only hope in reaching Class 8. He did not have much time left. He could only live another 100 years at most. If he still failed to break through, then death would be knocking on his door. The president had completely ignored the threat of the Tsar family. Currently, the entire continent was in a mess because of the winged tiger god. The 10 protector clans had emerged. The Tsar family absolutely did not dare to begin the infighting at this time. Otherwise, the protector clans would severely punish them before they could even begin moving. Yang Yutian was Jian, the previous king of mercenaries and the 4th young master of a small clan from a small kingdom. His name is Changyang, and he only broke through to Saint Ruler not too long ago, the man said expressionlessly. The president was overjoyed. He immediately stood up from his seat and said, Good. No matter who this Yang Yutian is, it's enough as long as we know where he lives. Elders, please quickly make preparations. We will head to that small kingdom at once. We have to recover the Saint artifact. Chapter 801, Gathering at the Changyang Manor, 1. Inside the Yangji sect of the 10 protector clans, the current sect master sat on a raised throne in a majestic hall. Sitting below to his sides were a dozen or so old men. They were all Saint Rulers. Although they were not the most powerful in the sect, they were all high-ranking members. The entire sect was managed by these people who possessed a status similar to caretakers. We've already found out that Yang Yutian is Jian. His home is in Lore City of the Jessen Kingdom. He is from a small clan under the name of Changyang. His name in the clan is Changyang Shangtian. The sect master on the throne spoke indifferently as he glanced around. What? The Changyang clan? The Changyang clan of the Protector clans? As soon as the sect master said that, many people below immediately began to exclaim in surprise. The sect master smiled indifferently. The Changyang clan of the Protector clans has 3 main branches: the Zhu branch, the Yuan branch and the Qing branch. Xiang is not one of them. In my opinion, the Changyang clan in Lore City just happens to bear the same name and is not actually the Changyang clan from the Protector clans. That's true. Just how big is the Tian Yuan continent? Encountering clans with the same names is something very common. The sect master should have analyzed it correctly. The Changyang clan of Lore City must only bear the same name as the Protector clan. The sect master's words immediately prompted many to agree. At that very moment, an old man stood up. He said, with clasped hands, "Sect master, a few days ago, when the sect reopened its spatial seal, a disciple from a sect side branch established outside returned. At the same time, he brought back news that the side branch had been destroyed by someone. That person was Jian with the winged tiger god." A gleam of light flashed across the sect master's eyes, and he immediately stood up from his throne. He narrowed his eyes at the old man and asked, "Elder Ling Yuanzi, is that true?" Elder Ling Yuanzi clasped his hands at the sect master and said confidently, "Sect master, I have already sent people to investigate this. This is all completely true, without the slightest inaccuracy." The sect master immediately began to laugh aloud. "God is smiling at my Yangji sect. God really is smiling on my Yangji sect. The question of who will form the contract with the winged tiger god after we obtain it has always been the most troublesome matter between the 10 Protector clans. Since Jian has actually wiped out one of our outside side branches, doesn't it mean that my Yangji sect has all the right in the world to take him? Us capturing Jian would be equivalent to controlling the winged tiger god. Even if he's captured by the other Protector clans first, the fact that he wiped out one of our side branches still holds true. It just happened to function as a bargaining trip and, with some more string pulling, it'll become a great opportunity to obtain the winged tiger god and force it into a contract with us." The sect master's eyes glowed brighter and brighter. He soon sped out of the hall and said, "We can't delay this. I will contact the ancestors immediately and see if there is any need to control Jian's family members or close relatives. All elders, make preparations to be ready to set out at any moment." A dozen or so people currently soared through the skies in the Jian kingdom. The 2 leading people were a young woman who seemed to be in her 20s and a young man who seemed to be just a little older. The man was handsome while the woman was pretty. They were clearly born and raised in a powerful clan, naturally radiating with an aura of nobility. Due to their rather similar appearances, they seemed like a pair of siblings. Behind the 2 of them were 12 black-clothed, middle-aged men. They each wore expressionless faces with cold eyes. There's actually a small clan around here that's taken the name of Changyang. This is absolutely absurd. How can our Changyang clan's name be used so casually by others? This time, we need to properly punish these impudent people, the young lady said resentfully. She was extremely angry. The young man beside her smiled bitterly. "Sister, don't mind these things too much. The continent is so vast and there are countless people with the same names and surnames. It's not impossible to encounter a clan that's also taken up Changyang as its name. We only need to change their names when we go there this time. Don't go overboard." The woman's anger finally subsided slightly with what the man had said. After a slight hesitation, she said, "Brother, you're right. All right. We only need to get them to change their names. We don't need to punish them. Also, sister, our main mission heading out this time was to look for information on the winged tiger god. Don't get too absorbed in messing around along the way. Look at you, all you've done ever since we left the clan is to go sightseeing. How have you focused on the mission at all?" The man said heavy-heartedly. His gaze towards the lady was filled with affection, as well as some helplessness. The lady immediately became down, and dejectedly said, "I understand, brother. You don't need to say it. While I only seem to be sightseeing along the way, wasn't I still looking for information on the winged tiger god? The two people headed in the direction of Lore City as they chatted. Although they were all only Heaven Saint Masters, their flying speed still greatly exceeded that of an ordinary Heaven Saint Master. As a result, they reached Lore City very quickly. By this time the 500,000 soldiers from the Eastern deity swords had already disappeared, all returned to the Qinhuang kingdom. Sister, below us is the Changyang clan's manor. Let's head down. The young man said as he pointed towards the rather large estate below. The lady furrowed her fine eyebrows when she saw the grand estate. A sliver of dissatisfaction immediately appeared in her eyes and, with a soft sneer, she descended with the man. The dozen or so Heaven Saint Masters descended from the sky, radiating with a powerful aura. They landed directly inside the estate, alerting everyone there. Immediately, a large group of guards surrounded them from all directions. They all stared vigilantly at the unwelcomed guests with stern expressions. How dare you intrude the Changyang manor? Are you tired of living? Hurry up and name yourselves. The captain of the guards called out. Even though there were 14 powerful Heaven Saint Masters, the captain showed no fear as the fourth young master of the clan was a true saint ruler. You're the ones who are tired of living, to actually use the name of the Changyang clan without permission. How are you? And then you act so disrespectful towards me. Do you believe that I wouldn't immediately cut off your tongue? The lady placed her hands on her hips and eyed the captain threateningly. She was extremely unruly. The captain's face drooped. Just as he was about to speak, he discovered Chang Wuji walking over from the other side. His expression immediately became courteous, and he said, I greet the head caretaker. Chang Wuji grimly walked over from behind. He observed the Heaven Saint Masters that had suddenly appeared with narrowed eyes, but he immediately jerked when he saw the sun-like image on the chests of the black-clothed men. In that instant, his expression became a complicated mix of emotions. The siblings also discovered Chang Wuji's arrival. They immediately turned their attention to him, and the woman's rude voice rang out once again, bring out the patriarch for me. Chang Wuji stared complicatedly at the rude young lady and the prudent young man. He said, what are your names? Chang Wuji's voice was actually carried an extremely rare slight trembling. The lady remained expressionless and glared at Uncle Chang. She said, you still don't have the right to learn my name. Immediately bring your patriarch here. I don't have that much time. Before the lady could finish speaking, she was interrupted by the young man extending his hand. The man eyed the lady helplessly, and smiled bitterly, Sister, that's enough. Stop playing around. Just how many times have you thrown your weight around? Haven't you played enough? The lady's rude expression immediately disappeared. Brother, can't you just let me play around a bit more? I've heard long ago that as long as you have strength on the Tian Yuan continent, you can casually bully other people. I've come out finally after so much difficulty. Can't you just let me try it out a little more? Sister, we've come out to handle matters, not to play. The young man's expression was filled with helplessness. He really was powerless over his sister. All right, I understand. The lady turned around depressedly. She was very unhappy. The man no longer paid any more attention to the lady. He turned to Chang Wuji, and asked, is the head of the clan here? The patriarch has recently passed away and a new patriarch has not been designated yet. All matters of the clan are temporarily handled by this old servant. Uncle Chang said. All right, then I'll cut to the chase and say it directly. You can't use the Changyang clan as the name of your clan. You should change it, the young man said calmly. The surrounding guards were all stunned as soon as they heard what was said. Soon they stared at the man like they were staring at an idiot. Presumptuous brat, you're the first person who's ever dared to tell us to change names since my Changyang clan's been established. An old voice boomed angrily. Several dozen founding members walked out, all staring at the man angrily. The lady furrowed her eyebrows. Just when she was going to speak out, what Uncle Chang said next completely stunned the two of them. I wonder which branch of the Zhu, Yuan, and Qing branches you are from. Uncle Chang said with a rather trembling voice. After staring blankly for a while, the lady immediately became wide-eyed. She stared at Uncle Chang in disbelief and cried out, I'm impossible. How do you know about the matters of our Changyang clan? Just who are you? Are you perhaps a member of my Changyang clan? The young man was also filled with shock. Their Changyang clan was a protector clan, one that stayed within an alternate space and was kept sealed all year round. Very few people knew about their existence in the outside world. Yet, the old man before him, a mere heaven saint master, had mentioned the matter of the 3 branches as soon as he began speaking. This absolutely astounded the young man, as this was an internal matter of the clan. Other than a few clans which also protected the Tian Yuan continent, very few people knew about it. Uncle Chang sighed gently. A sliver of reminiscence appeared in his eyes, and he said, I wonder what old Madam Changyang Ziyan is to the two of you. Changyang Ziyan. That's the name of Grandma Yi. How do you know the name of my Grandma Yi? The lady brought her hands to her lips, while her eyes had already become the size of bronze bells staring fixedly at Uncle Chang. She was extremely shocked. Even the young man's calmness currently had ripples appear. He stared at Uncle Chang in disbelief. He was completely speechless. Chapter 802, Gathering at Changyang Manor, 2, Perhaps you're also a member of my Changyang clan? Only after a long while did the lady return to her senses. She stared at Uncle Chang in complete shock. The young man was also astounded and awaited Uncle Chang's reply. Uncle Chang sighed at the sky and slowly closed his eyes. The memories that he had originally sealed up for countless years surged out like a tidal wave, forming images which constantly flashed across his eyes. Meanwhile, 2 turbid tears uncontrollably rolled down from his tightly closed eyes. All the guards and older members of the Changyang clan focused their attentions onto Uncle Chang, each at a loss and filled confusion. There were plenty of quick-witted people among them. Some had already realized some things from Uncle Chang's conversation with the siblings. However, including the old members of the clan, no one knew what relationship Uncle Chang had with the 2 siblings. Is there perhaps a second Changyang clan on the Tian Yuan continent? And these 2 clans have some unknown relationship? In that very moment, many people thought of the same thing. The siblings from the protector Changyang clan said nothing. They bared complicated expressions while slivers of disbelief remained in their eyes. With how matters stood now, the 2 of them had already guessed that the Changyang clan of Lore City was perhaps not simply a small clan bearing the same name, but rather an existence that truly contained an unknown connection with the protector clan. After reaching that conclusion, an immediate change occurred to how the siblings looked at the various people of the Changyang clan. At this point, they had already abandoned the notion of changing this clan's name. After a long while, Uncle Chang finally opened his eyes slowly. He stared at the 2 siblings with extremely mixed emotions, and said, My name is Chang Wuji. When you go back, tell the old Madam Changyang Zhu Yayan. She should know who I am. Chang Wuji. The siblings murmured. Their faces were filled with doubt, as the name did not bear the surname of Changyang. The Changyang clan had a total of 3 branches. The Zhu branch, the Yuan branch and the Qing branch. As long as they were a part of the Changyang clan, the first 2 characters of their name would be Changyang without any exceptions, while the third would either be Zhu, Yuan, or Qing. It signified which branch the person was from. Only after those 3 characters would each person have their real name. Just from the 3 characters Chang Wuji, it was impossible for him to be from the Changyang clan as the name was completely different. Even though they were filled with doubt, the siblings did not ask anything. The young man clasped his hands at Chang Yuji to bid farewell before leaving the manor with the girl. High in the sky, the siblings lead the 12 Heaven Saint Master Guards flying off into the distance. The lady turned around, and asked the man, Brother, who do you think that person is? From his name he doesn't seem like a member of our clan, but he actually knows Grandma Ye's name. Perhaps he knows Grandma Yi? The young man furrowed his eyebrows slightly. He was also swamped in confusion, sister, let's not guess randomly. We should quickly hurry home. The truth will naturally reveal itself after we tell this to Grandma Yi. As he spoke, the man pulled out a fist-sized piece of jade from his bosom. Closing his hand around it slightly, he immediately crushed the piece of jade to smithereens. An odd energy appeared from the piece of jade and quickly formed a multicolored space gate before them. The siblings and the 12 guards disappeared into it immediately. When the brother and sister reappeared, they had already arrived in an unknown space. This space was extremely vast, like a small world. There were mountains and rivers in there, as well as various magical beasts. There were plenty of high-class magical beasts that were rarely seen on the Tian Yuan continent as well. In the center of the space floated a huge piece of earth. On it stood many buildings, and the people were plentiful. It was like a busy city, while in the center of the floating land were many majestic palaces. Currently, in one of the many palaces, a white-dressed, middle-aged woman sat by the window. She stared outside sadly while a sliver of grief appeared in the depths of her eyes. A white-robed, middle-aged man slowly walked up to the woman's side and gently placed his hands on the woman's shoulder, massaging them. He said with a deep voice, "Yuan, are you still thinking of Kong'er?" The woman gently nodded her head, and said dejectedly, "When Kong'er broke the rules of the clan, he almost brought on a calamity to our Changyang clan. Then his talent was sealed up by grandfather, to never be able to reach Saint Ruler in his life. It's been almost 1,000 years since Kong'er was born. I wonder if he's still alive. Just where is he? I really want to see Kong'er." The man sighed gently while a sliver of sorrow also appeared in his eyes. The Kong'er mentioned by the woman was their only son, born when they were Saint Rulers. At the same time, it was what pained the two of them the most. Centuries ago their son was expelled from the clan due to bringing disaster. His talent was also sealed up so he would never able to reach Saint Ruler. He could only live for 1,000 years at most. Even though the two of them had some status in the clan, they had no power to prevent this as the crime their son had committed was just too great. It almost made the space in which the Changyang clan inhabited collapse. Because of this his wife, Changyang Zhu Yuan, always remained at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. If she did not overcome this mental obstruction she would never break through and reach Saint King. She would only have a life of 3,000 years. In the past the two of them had thought of going out to go looking for their son, but they could do nothing about the fact that the space was sealed in all year round. With how great of a crime their son had committed, the various elders of the clan were unwilling to expend large amounts of energy to open the seal just for the two of them to go looking for him. Now, the space of the Changyang clan was finally unsealed with the intrusion of the Beast God continent. However, their primary mission for opening the space this time was to repel the Beast God continent's invasion as well as to find the whereabouts of the Winged Tiger God. They just did not have any extra time to go searching for their long-lost son. Also, the continent was extremely vast. Unless they used the power of the entire clan, it would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. If just the two of them wanted to go searching for their son in the sea of people, even using a secret technique would not suffice. This was because the seal on their son did not just restrict his talent, it also sealed up his bloodline. Suddenly, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He said, "Yuan, the clan's already found a trace of the Winged Tiger God. It's currently with a young man by the name of Jian, and they've already found where Jian lives. Let's go." The elders of the clan are holding a meeting for this. Changyang Zhu Yuan dismissed a few thought and stood up, walking outside side by side with the man. "Grandma Yi, Grandma Yi." Just as the couple left through the main entrance, a young man and young woman suddenly ran over from the distance. Even from afar, they could hear the ladies' callings. The two of them arrived beside Changyang Zhu Yuan, and the lady immediately spoke out, "Grandma Yi, when brother and I were out searching for the tracks of the Winged Tiger God, we discovered a small clan that had the same name as us in a small city." Changyang Zhu Yuan forcefully smiled and said gently, "Shower, the Tian Yuan continent is very vast and there are countless people. It's very common to have clans that carry the same name as us, so you don't need to take it too seriously." "I know, but Grandma Yi, there was an old man in that Changyang clan who seemed to know you. and even knew Grandma Ye's name. The lady continued while she stared at Changyang Zhu Yayan with eyes filled with curiosity. Changyang Zhu Yayan stared vacantly, and immediately asked, "Shower, do you know that person's name?" "He said he's called Chang Wuji, and even said that Grandma Yi knows him," the lady called Shower said. "What? Chang Wuji?" Changyang Zhu Yayan jerked violently while her expression changed abruptly. Soon afterwards, even her petite body began to tremble slightly. "Chang Wuji? Isn't that the name of the servant that follows Konger?" The man beside Changyang Zhu Yayan cried out as his also expression changed. The middle-aged man was the husband of Changyang Zhu Yayan, as well as one of the great elders of the Changyang clan. He was called Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. Changyang Zhu Yayan seemed to connect it with something, and immediately became excited. With her trembling body, even her voice began to tremble. "Konger, Konger, it must be Konger. Konger must be there. Shower, quickly lead the way." Changyang Zhu Yayan's voice was hurried. "Yunxiao, Yunfei, quickly tell us where you found Chang Wuji." Even Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's voice was hurried. "He's at..." The young man immediately described the rough area where he had met Chang Wuji. Without the slightest deliberation, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao swung his hand and the space before him split open. It formed a space gate, and they left with the siblings without paying any attention to the gathering of elders in the clan. In a majestic hall, 7 seats were placed side by side at the very end. 6 people of different ages sat there, while to no surprise one of them was Changyang Yuan, the old man who had represented the Changyang clan at the meeting in Mercenary City. Meanwhile, several other people also of various ages sat beneath them. At this very moment, a gleam of light flashed across the eyes of the 6 people on the seats at the very end. They then all looked towards where the couple had split open the space to leave. "It's Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. Why'd he suddenly split open the space and leave? Has something happened, perhaps?" An old man asked in surprise as his eyes shone with a weird light. "Whatever, let him be. Since he's not coming, we'll hold the meeting with just the 6 of us." Changyang Yuan said indifferently. He was the most powerful of the 7 great elders, so he possessed an extremely great prestige. Currently, Uncle Chang stood all by himself in a pavilion in the garden on the Changyang estate in Lore City. His eyes were filled with the color of reminiscence, while a dozen or so old members stood behind him. They had come to gain an understanding of the truth behind what had happened. From the ruckus of the siblings before, they all understood one thing: there was another great secret hidden behind Uncle Chang and the ancestor of the Changyang clan that had disappeared centuries ago, a secret that none of them knew. The old Madame Changyang Zhu Yayan had become the greatest query of those old members. She was a mysterious person that deserved to be referred to as the old Madame by Uncle Chang, so her status was definitely something else. Currently, the older members had even begun suspecting the Changyang ancestor and Uncle Chang's backgrounds for the first time. Uncle Chang stood in the pavilion, staring dully at the fishes that swam around. Only after an extremely long amount of time did he sigh gently. Without even turning around, he said, "Don't ask any more. You should learn the answer soon." At that very moment, the space above the manor suddenly split open. A multicolored space gate quickly appeared, and soon afterwards figures shot out of it with great speeds, one after another. Chapter 803, Gathering at Changyang Manor, 3. In the blink of an eye, several dozen people appeared in the sky above the Changyang Manor. Most of them wore white robes and rode on white clouds condensed from radiant saint force. They were radiant saint masters, while the other people were fighters of various ages and attires. The group of people quickly left the space gate and surrounded the entire estate from the sky. One of the old men casually swung his hand, and a barrier enveloped the entire manor. The barrier even extended into the ground, cutting off any means of escape through secret passages in the earth. From the city of God of the Holy Empire, the people from the Radiant Saint Master Union had finally come. The sudden change in the situation raised the attentions of all those in the manor. The guards, who had relaxed after the departure of the siblings, became alarmed once again. They looked at the sky with grim expressions and many of them immediately paled, especially when they saw the barrier around the entire manor. This was because they knew it was the doings of saint rulers. Uncle Chang also discovered the occurrence in the sky and temporarily put his sorrows to one side. With a thought, he flew in the sky by controlling the energy of the world. He soon glanced past the many people, and when he saw the cloud riding, white-robed Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters with purple badges, he immediately became extremely grim. "Senior, are you perhaps the people of the Radiant Saint Master Union from the City of God?" Uncle Chang clasped his hands at the people. He was extremely polite. The small Changyang clan below could not afford to offend the people before him. "Correct, we are people from the Union. This is my master, the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union. Why don't you hurry up and kneel before the president of the Union?" A middle-aged man beside the president cried out as he pointed at Uncle Chang. He was the second disciple of the president, Tian. Junior Chang Wuji greets the esteemed president. Uncle Chang quickly clasped his hands at the president and spoke extremely politely. The president of the Radiant Saint Master Union indeed possessed strength worthy of his respect. However, he did not kneel, as other than a few people, such as his master that had disappeared for several centuries and the old madam, he felt like no one else had the right to get him to kneel, even if it was the president of the union. Tian immediately became angered when he saw that Uncle Chang did not kneel. He had enmity with Jian even before Jian took away the saint artifact. As it had severely hurt his chances at reaching Class 7, Tian's hatred for Jian reached a bone-deep level. He was unwilling to easily let anyone who was related to Jian go. Impudence. You, a mere servant, won't even kneel before the president of the union? You're courting death. Tian cried out at Uncle Chang. Tian, don't be rude. The president extended a hand to stop Tian. Although Jian had taken the artifact of the union, he also knew that the artifact had run to Jian itself and it was not Jian who intended on taking it. As a result, the president did not want to weaken his relationship with Jian because of the Changyang clan. After all, there was still room for fixing everything right now. The president clasped his hands slightly towards Uncle Chang, and said, "I wonder where Jian may be?" "Esteemed president, the fourth young master has already left. Even this old servant has no idea where he has gone," Uncle Chang said calmly, without becoming frantic at all. "Master, since Yang Yutian's not here, we might as well invite all the people of this Changyang clan to our union. Once Yang Yutian comes back, we can directly get him to come to the union to pick them up," Tian said from beside the president. The president did not reply to Tian and instead continued, "Do you perhaps know when Jian will return?" Unless push came to pull, the president did not want to offend Jian's family so easily. If he had angered Jian could hide the artifact or gift it to another powerful organization. That would be the union's irrevocable loss. This old servant also has no idea when the fourth young master will return, Uncle Chang said. "President, we might as well do what Tian suggested and take these people away. As long as we have control over these people, I don't believe Jian won't just obediently hand over the artifact," an elder from the union suggested from behind. "President, I support this idea. We have no idea when Yang Yutian will return, and we can't always leave so many people here. And there must be Yang Yutian's relatives in this group of people. As long as we have control over them, he'll appear very quickly," another elder seconded. After a while of thought, the president agreed to their suggestion in the end. He said, "That's the only thing we can do right now. All the people of the Changyang clan, please come and stay a few days at my union. Once Jian returns the union's artifact, I will personally release you all." Hearing that, Uncle Chang darkened. He said, "If the fourth young master does not return for a century, does that mean that the union will hold us as prisoners for a century as well?" "Correct," the president replied expressionlessly. He could not wait 100 years. He really had no idea what the union would turn out to be like after a century. A sliver of anger appeared on Uncle Chang's face. He said coldly, "Your union might be powerful, but you still don't have the right to suppress the people of my Changyang clan. With that, all the people from the Union changed in expression. What Uncle Chang had said was essentially completely overlooking the Union. It sparked a flame of anger in them, people who had led comfortable lives because of the Union. You're looking to die. A middle-aged man in tight clothes immediately roared out angrily. With a palm strike, the invisible world force surged towards Uncle Chang, while the space around him froze too in that very instant. He was completely immobilized. The invisible world force mercilessly collided with Uncle Chang. With a groan, he immediately turned sheet white and constantly spat out mouthfuls of blood. At the same time, the space around Uncle Chang returned to how it was before. He no longer remained levitating and fell out of the sky. Below, several Earth Saint Masters all cried out in alarm. Immediately, several of them shot over to catch the falling Uncle Chang. Every single one of them were currently filled with worry. They knew that this time, the Changyang clan faced an extremely great problem. They had directly offended the Radiant Saint Master Union. They were a heavyweight power from the Holy Empire, much more powerful than Qinhuang Kingdom of the Eight Great Kingdoms. The man who struck out glanced at Uncle Chang coldly. He said, "Even a tiny clan dares to act so presumptuously before the Radiant Saint Master. You really don't know how to live. I'll let you off this time. If there's a second time, I'll execute you on the spot. I won't be holding back." The disparity between Heaven Saint Masters and Saint Rulers was just too large. All those below Saint Ruler were ants. Even though Uncle Chang had reached the peak as a Heaven Saint Master, he remained as fragile as ever before a Saint Ruler. No one could stop what the middle-aged man had done, even if it was the President or the Grand Elder. Although they did not want to fall out with Jian, they had their own bottom lines. What Uncle Chang had said before was already pushing the boundaries of the Union. The President looked towards an old, white-haired man. He requested, "I will be troubling Elder Jia to bring everyone back to the headquarters." The old man nodded slightly before directly ripping open the space. He set up a space gate to the headquarters of the Union, about to take all the people from the clan back to the headquarters of the Union. Bang! Suddenly, with a muffled sound, the huge barrier around the manor was shattered. 4 figures had appeared outside the barrier at an unknown time. 2 were male while the other 2 were female. They were the couple and siblings from the Protector Changyang clan. All the people from the Union immediately gathered their attentions towards the 4 people who had suddenly appeared. A middle-aged man immediately called out, "Who are you? Name yourselves." Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao glanced past the people from the Union, before quickly losing interest. Changyang Zhu Yunshao murmured softly, "Why has the Radiant Saint Master Union come?" "Yunfei, Yunshao, is this the place you were talking about?" "Grandpa Yunshao, Grandma Yi, that's correct. This is the place." Changyang Zhu Yunfei replied as he glanced past all the people below. Finally, he found the heavily injured Chang Wuji on the floor and immediately pointed. He said, "It's him, Grandpa Yunshao, Grandma Yi. He's the one who claimed to be Chang Wuji." Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Yeyun narrowed their eyes and gathered their attention at Chang Wuji. Shortly afterwards, both of them gently shook before suddenly appearing next to Chang Wuji in the next moment. The light in their eyes flickered while they looked at Chang Wuji with a rare excitement. At this time Chang Wuji was already an old man in his 70s. His appearance had undergone a complete change from before, so the couple could not recognize him for some time. You're Chang Wuji?" Changyang Zhu Yeyun asked with uncertainty. Her voice was filled with hope. Currently she was extremely tense and she worried about whether or not this was the Chang Wuji she was searching for. The older members of the Changyang clan around Chang Wuji all looked at each other, while they glanced at the middle-aged couple from time to time. They all could guess the couple's identity, but none of them dared to speak out. They were definitely Saint Rulers to be able to break a barrier cast down by Saint Rulers. Looking at the middle-aged woman, Chang Wuji immediately became moved. Turbid tears immediately began to run down his face like a hot spring. He struggled as he attempted to stand up, and said with a trembling voice, old madam, old master, this servant is Chang Wuji. Chang Wuji greets the old madam and old master, cough. Uncle Chang had been struck by a blow from a saint ruler. Even though the person had held back, he was heavily injured to the point that he even struggled to speak, stuttering a lot. Towards the end he uncontrollably coughed up another few mouthfuls of blood, dyeing his clothes red. Chapter 804, Gathering at Changyang Manor. For Chang Wuji, it really is you. Chang Wuji's calls of old madam and old master towards Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao had undoubtedly proved his identity. With that, Changyang Zhu Yeyun no longer doubted Chang Wuji and immediately cried out. Her voice was filled with utmost joy. To Changyang Zhu Yeyun, finding Chang Wuji was equivalent to finding her long-lost son. The person she truly cared for was not Chang Wuji, but rather her son. Chang Wuji, where's Konger? Where is Konger? You initially left the clan with Konger. You're definitely with Konger, right? Tell me just where my Konger is. Changyang Zhu Yeyun's trembling voice was filled with urgency. Currently, her heart that had suffered for centuries finally became excited for the first time. She had never been so excited, so joyful, ever since her son had been expelled from the clan centuries ago. Master, he, seeing his old madam and master, Chang Wuji also became extremely excited. His weak voice was inarticulate and he coughed heavily from his heavy injuries. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, some of it even landing on the clothes of Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao. Changyang Zhu Yunshao immediately produced a pill from his space ring and fed it to Uncle Chang. The pill was a saintly medicine made specially by the Changyang clan and contained countless precious heavenly resources. Its value was even on par to high-class radiant spirit pills. Consuming the pill, Uncle Chang's injuries that had constantly worsened finally stabilized, already taking a good turn. Looking at the heavily injured Chang Wuji, Changyang Zhu Yunshao darked a lot as a powerful killing intent appeared in his eyes. He said with a deep voice, Chang Wuji, who injured you? Uncle Chang looked at the group of people from the Radiant Saint Master Union in the sky, and said weakly, it's the people from the Radiant Saint Master Union. They want to force everyone to go to the City of God. How dare they? Changyang Zhu Yunshao was instantly angered. A powerful aura immediately began to radiate from him, enveloping the surrounding space. The aura was filled with an extremely dense killing intent. Even in the past centuries, Changyang Zhu Yunshao had never become so angered. Although the Radiant Saint Master Union was an organization that stood on the apex of the Tian Yuan continent, equal to ancient clans, they were as weak as ants before the protector Changyang clan. They were completely overshadowed by the Changyang clan. And now, his son, the son of one of the 7 great elders, had founded a clan outside that was actually being trampled like this by the Radiant Saint Master Union. How was it possible for Changyang Zhu Yunshao to not be mad? At the same time, he also thought about how much suffering his son would have went through in all these years. As a father, this caused immense grief to Changyang Zhu Yunshao. With a tremble on his body he immediately appeared high in the sky, staring coldly at the people from the Union. He called out coldly, who dares injure the people of the Changyang clan? Stand forward. Otherwise, you'll all be suffering the punishment together. The people of the Union looked at each other, all extremely grim. They could already vaguely guess that Changyang Zhu Yunshao was a saint king. This had completely exceeded what the Union had anticipated for the Changyang clan, to have a saint king supporting it. Sir, may I ask who you are? An old voice sounded from behind. It was an old man with a hoarse voice. He seemed powerless, like an old man at the doors of death. The old man was the same old man who Jian Chen had initially met in the Radiant Saint Tower, wiping the furniture with a cloth. At the same time, he was a powerful saint king. Zhu Yunshao of Changyang. He said expressionlessly. Hearing the name, those who had some understandings of the 10 protector clans in the group from the Union all changed greatly in expression. They stared at him in shock, while fear seeped out from the depths of their gazes. The president immediately clasped his hands at Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, and asked sternly, "Is Sir perhaps a member from the Zhu branch of the Zhu, Yuan, and Qing branches of the Protector clans?" Immediately, all the people from the Union became heavy-hearted. At first they had thought that the Changyang clan in Lore City was just a small clan with a name that coincided with the Protector clan. Never did they think that the connection between the two was not just the same name, and that the Lore City one had a rather special connection with the higher levels of the Protector clan. As soon as the words of the president was heard by the older members of the Changyang clan, they all shook violently while an indescribable light flickered in their eyes. They did not know about the three branches of the Protector clan, but they saw the fear in the people from the Union. They had already guessed that the Protector clan was definitely a clan even more powerful than the Union. This revived their despaired hearts instantly, as if they had all seen the light of hope. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stared coldly at the president, and said slowly, "You sure do know some stuff, even knowing about the three branches of the Changyang clan." Afterwards, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao slowly glanced past all the people and said, "Who was it that injured the person from my Changyang clan? If you don't talk now, I can only throw you all on the punishment list." The group of people all became ugly. They could not afford to offend a Protector clan, no matter what, and had even put away all the arrogance that had already seeped to their bones. They did not dare to show even a sliver of it. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man who had injured Uncle Chang became extremely ugly, and floated there blankly, unwilling to speak. He was already filled with regret. It was him who injured Uncle Chang. At this very moment, a gentle voice sounded from below. Standing in the ground, the azure-robed Yu Fengyan pointed towards the man who had injured Uncle Chang and spoke out loudly, while her face was filled with anger. "Yeah, it was he who injured Uncle Chang. You need to avenge Uncle Chang." After what Yu Fengyan said, the various senior members of the clan all pointed to the middle-aged man. They were all extremely mad. With how everything was now, they could already guess that the couple who had suddenly appeared definitely had some deep connection with the Changyang clan. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's glaring eyes landed on the man, and he immediately roared, "Even a mere saint ruler dares to injure the people of my Changyang clan. Die!" With that, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao appeared silently before the middle-aged man, and he extended his hand, reaching towards his head. At the same time, the man's surrounding space froze, trapping and immobilizing him. At this very moment, the old man appeared out of nowhere before the man being attacked, and directly threw a punch that collided with Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's palm. Bang! With a muffled sound, the strikes from the Saint Kings caused the surrounding space to tremble violently, even though they had controlled their strengths very well. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's gaze became slightly cold. He said icily, "You dare to stop me? Sir, although it was a person from our union who injured your clansman, he is not dead. I hope Sir can be merciful and let him off." The old man clasped his hands. "Piss off." Killing intent exploded in Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's heart. With a sneer, he threw another palm strike at the old man. It was clearly much more powerful, as wherever it passed it would create a crack in space. The Saint King from the Union became grim. With a deep shout, his skinny, stick-like hand, clad in vast world force, shot towards Changyang Zhu Yunxiao to catch his strike. He definitely could not let a saint ruler of the Union die because of a small mistake like this. They could not afford to lose saint rulers even though they were the Radiant Saint Master Union. This was because there were not many experts in the Union, so every single one of them was extremely important. They were the main force of the Union. The two hands collided mid-air with great amounts of world force. Silently, the surrounding space shook, causing all of it in a radius of several dozen meters to crack like a mirror. With that strike, the Saint King from the Union paled slightly. He immediately shot backwards in retreat. Meanwhile, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stood steadily in the air, without taking a single step backwards. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao then took a step and appeared before the saint ruler who had injured Chang Wuji once again. He said coldly, "Those who injure people of my Changyang clan will never be forgiven." With that, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao extended his hand, striking the saint ruler's head. The The saint ruler was already trapped and was unable to move at all. He could not even dodge Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's palm strike. The hand directly shook his brains into mush and destroyed his origin soul. He was already dead as blood spurted out from his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. After killing off the saint ruler, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao eyed the saint king that he had knocked away with a single strike coldly. If you want to be reckless like that again, I'll kill you too. You're still not my opponent with your second heavenly layer strength. The saint king was angry, but he did not dare to refute. A while later, he finally produced a soft sigh while his face was ashen. He indeed could not offend the Changyang clan of the protector clans. If it went overboard, even the Radiant Saint Master Union would be sucked in and suffer the devastating attacks of the Changyang clan. Today, the Union could only forcefully accept this loss. Changyang Zhu Yeyun did not pay any attention to the battle above. She squatted beside Chang Wuji, and asked urgently, Chang Wuji, quickly tell me just where my Konger is right now. What is his situation? After being treated with the saintly medicine, Chang Wuji's injuries had already recovered by a lot. He stood up from the ground with some difficulty and said bitterly, Old madam, master's already left centuries ago. He went outside to look for a method to break through the seal, and there's been no sound of him even up until now. What? Konger, he, Changyang Zhu Yeyun immediately became lost. She, originally filled with hope, became despaired with what Uncle Chang had said. She originally thought that she would definitely find her long-lost son, Changyang Zhu Yunkong, as long as she found Chang Wuji, but never did she think it would turn out like this. Chapter 805, Gathering at Changyang Manor, 5, Tears poured uncontrollably from Changyang Zhu Yeyun's eyes. She sobbed, Konger, just where are you? Do you know how much Mum misses you? Changyang Zhu Yeyun's voice was filled with sorrow. Changyang Zhu Yunkong was her only son, and even she no longer knew how much she had cried for him. It was so bad that even her strength remained at a standstill, stopping at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler for hundreds of years. It prevented her from breaking through. This was because her son had already become a mental obstruction, one that was extremely difficult to overcome. If she could not overcome it, she would never be able to reach Saint King. She would only have 3,000 years to live. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao arrived beside Changyang Zhu Yeyun. He too was heavy-hearted, and upon seeing his wife's sorrowful figure, he could not help but secretly sigh. He comforted, Yeyun, don't feel too bad. I believe there will be one day where we find Konger. Didn't Konger found this Changyang clan? He'll return someday. Senior Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, does that mean that Jian Chen is also a member of the Changyang clan? A forceful voice sounded from above. It was the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union, who eyed the couple fixedly. A gleam of light flickered in his eyes. He was thinking of something. Jian Chen. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao mumbled as a sliver of doubt appeared in his eyes. He naturally did not know about Jian Chen as he did not participate in the elders' discussion back at the clan. Old Master, Jian Chen's original name is Changyang Shengtian. He's the 4th young master of our Changyang clan, and is also an unprecedented genius of the continent. He's 24 this year, and is already a saint ruler. Chang Wuji explained on the side. Hearing that, a gleam of light flashed across Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's eyes. A sliver of disbelief appeared on his face, and he exclaimed with a deep voice, reaching saint ruler as a 24-year-old? How is that possible? What Uncle Chang said had shocked Changyang Zhu Yunxiao greatly. For someone to reach saint ruler at such a young age, terrifying could no longer be used to describe the person's talent. This was definitely unprecedented in all of history on the Tian Yuan continent. The president continued, Senior Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, Jian Chen's taken away the saint artifact that had existed in the Union for countless years. We've only come this time to take it back, and we have no other intentions. I hope that when Jian Chen returns, he can return the artifact to the Union. With that, the president paused. After a slight deliberation, he continued, and, according to what I know, the winged tiger god is with him. Hearing that, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao was no longer able to remain calm. He immediately cried out, "What? The winged tiger god is with Jian Chen." However, a sliver of wild excitement appeared on his face soon after. Jian Chen was a member of the Changyang clan. Since the ancient beast god followed Jian Chen, didn't it mean that the winged tiger god was already in the Changyang clan's control? This was an absolutely huge piece of news to the Changyang clan. Changyang Zhu Yeyun also suppressed her sorrow, revealing an expression of shock. The 10 protector clans had utilized the entire continent to search for the winged tiger god, yet it actually turned out to be with a descendant of the Changyang clan. This was extremely significant. The older members and guards of the clan were also stunned by this. In the past few days, the news of the winged tiger god had spread through the Jian kingdom like wildfire. The news of the search for the winged tiger god was everywhere, but they had never even considered that the winged tiger god was with their fourth young master Changyang Shangtian. Suddenly, the space above the Changyang clan began to ripple violently. A multicolored space gate condensed extremely quickly, and many figures shot out from it one by one. In the blink of an eye, another several dozen people, all in the same attire, appeared above the manor. Although they carried no aura at all, they all floated in the air without using the energy of the world. They had all clearly reached Saint Ruler. A gleam of light flashed across Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's eyes. He slowly scanned past all the people, and finally became grim once again. He said gruffly, "I'd never have thought that the people of the Yangji sect would also appear here." Changyang Zhu Yunxiao understood all 10 protector clans very well with his status, and with a glance he could tell that the Yangji sect had basically sent everything they had. Other than the invasion of the beast god continent, only the winged tiger god could make the Yangji sect dispatch so many people. "I'd never think that one of the 7 great elders of the Changyang clan, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, would be here. Greetings, earnest greetings." A ruddy old man eyed Changyang Zhu Yunxiao calmly as he smiled slightly. He was one of the great elders of the Yangji sect. He was called Chen Yangzi, and he was the most powerful person in the sect both in strength and authority. A burly, middle-aged man stood forwards from beside Chen Yangzi. He stared expressionlessly at Changyang Zhu Yunxiao and said, "Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, have you also come for the winged tiger god?" At that moment, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao completely believed what the president said. The winged tiger god was indeed with a descendant of the Changyang clan. After a period of silence, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao said, "This is a branch clan established outside by my Changyang clan. Fellow friends of the Yangji sect, I hope you will not interfere with matters of our branch clan." "Hee, naturally we will not be interfering. The main reason we've come this time is to capture someone called Jian Chen, who is also called Changyang Shangtian. He wiped out an outside branch sect established by us. He cannot be forgiven, or would the dignity of the Yangji sect still exist?" Chen Yangzi smiled. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's face darkened. He said, "Changyang Shangtian is a member of my Changyang clan. You still don't have the right to take him. Brother Yunxiao must be joking. Your Changyang clan only has the 3 branches of Zhu, Yun and Qing. There is no Xiang branch. How can Changyang Shangtian be a member of your Changyang clan? And this Changyang clan does not have anyone with Zhu, Yuan, or Qing in their name. How is it possible for them to be a part of your protector clan?" Chen Yangzi remained smiling. At the same time, he secretly cast a secret technique searching for Jian Chen's presence. However, when he searched through the entire kingdom he could not feel the presences of any other saint rulers than the ones gathered at the manor. Perhaps Jian Chen isn't here? Or did he use an extremely profound method to conceal his presence? How would it be possible for him to escape my search? Chen Yangzi thought before waving his hand. He said, "Take all those close to Jian Chen back to the sect. There must be an explanation for wiping out a branch sect of my Yangji sect. I want to see who dares." Changyang Zhu Yunxiao roared. He immediately shot into the sky, meeting the people of the Yangji sect. A sky-surging presence radiated from his body. Chen Yangzi's complexion darkened slightly. He was slightly angry. Changyang Zhu Yunshao, do you intend on declaring war with my Yangji sect? This Changyang clan was founded by my son, Changyang Zhu Yunkong. All the descendants in there are members of my Changyang clan. You don't have the right to take away any of them. If you really do insist, so what if a battle erupts? Changyang Zhu Yunshao said with a deep voice, and his aura increased abruptly. Changyang Qing Yun's not here. You're not my opponent. Chen Yangzi's voice became cold. For the winged tiger god, he would not let up at all. At that very moment, the surrounding space began to ripple violently once more. Space gates appeared at the same time in the surroundings, and people of different attires began pouring out of them in a continuous stream. At that very moment, all the people of the 10 protector clans had gathered. Even the other 6 great elders of the Changyang clan had come, leading many saint rulers. The 10 protector clans had sent everything they had. One reason for this was to us an absolute superiority in power to suppress the clan and attempt to steal the winged tiger god first. The other reason was to prevent the experts of the beast god continent from breaking their agreement and intruding the Tian Yuan continent to take the winged tiger god from them after they had found it. As a result, the forces the 10 protector clans had brought were not any weaker than when they had repelled the beast god continent's invasion earlier. Yunshao, Yeyun, why are you here? From the Changyang clan group, an old man discovered the couple and a sliver of surprise immediately appeared in his eyes. Changyang Zhu Yunshao immediately revealed an expression of respect. This old man was the most senior member from the Zhu branch, as well as his great-grandfather, Changyang Zhu Shao, great-grandfather. This Changyang clan does not just have the same name. It was originally founded by Konger. Changyang Zhu Yunshao said. He knew very well that the 10 protector clans had all received some information. If he wanted to protect the clan established by his son, he could only bring up the origins of it. What? That kid, Konger, established a clan outside? Changyang Zhu Shao was slightly surprised. Before he came he had known that there was a Changyang clan in Lore City, but he had thought it was just a clan with the same name. He did not think too much about it. Closely afterwards, Changyang Zhu Shao seemed to think of something. He immediately asked, Yun Shao, then what's Jian Chen's identity? Great-grandfather, Jian Chen's original name is Changyang Shangtian. He's also a member of our Changyang clan, Changyang Zhu Yunshao answered. All the people from the Changyang clan were shocked. Immediately, someone could not help it but speak out with a low voice. This Changyang Shangtian is actually a member of our Changyang clan. Doesn't that mean the winged tiger god is with a descendant of our Changyang clan? The great elders all looked at each other. This piece of news was just too shocking to all of them. None of them had ever thought that the winged tiger god that they painstakingly searched for would be with a descendant of their own clan. Chapter 806, The Arctic Ice God Hall. After a while of speechlessness, the authoritative great elders of the Changyang clan all chuckled aloud. They all felt extremely at ease. Initially, the 10 protector clans had all learned some information about the winged tiger god from the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, Tian Jian. They all knew that it was currently with a talented young man, but none of them had ever imagined that it would be someone from the Changyang clan of the 10 protector clans. Since the winged tiger god was with a disciple of their clan, who it belonged to in the end had already become undebatable. Perhaps they did not even need to force it into a contract, either. The Changyang clan already had the right to raise it. This was because the winged tiger god following someone on its own, as well as developing such close feelings with that person, was akin to it already accepting an owner. Right now the great elders of the Changyang clan were not stupid enough to ask who founded Lore City's Changyang clan, or if the clan really was a branch or not. It was like raining pies for their Changyang clan. They were not stupid enough to just miss out on it. Huh, what an absurd joke. Changyang clan, this story woven by you is just too hilarious. Other than your Zhu, Yuan, and Qing 3 branches, there aren't any other side branches. Why wouldn't we know that? This Changyang clan here clearly only has the same name. It has no other connections to your protector clan. Loud laughter erupted from above. A young man approaching his late 20s stared at the people from the Changyang clan with a sneer. Correct, and Changyang Shangtian's name isn't from any of your 3 branches. The middle-aged man beside the young man said with a face full of ridicule. They both were great elders from the Yuan clan. Changyang Zhu Yunshao stared coldly at the 2 people and sneered, "This Changyang clan was founded by my son Changyang Zuyunkong. The power of the Changyang clan bloodline flows in the veins of all the descendants in there, so they're naturally people from the protector Changyang clan. I think I've heard about this Changyang Zuyunkong. Isn't he the person who intruded on the forbidden grounds of the Changyang clan, disturbed the emperor armament, and almost caused the space your Changyang clan inhabits to collapse? If I recall correctly, that person seems to have already been expelled by the clan. He's no longer a member of your Changyang clan." The young man from the Yuan clan giggled. All the people from the Changyang clan became ugly. Shortly afterwards, Changyang Qin immediately spoke out, "Right now, I, Changyang Qin, declare in the name of a great elder of the Changyang clan that Changyang Zuyunkong's punishment shall be annulled and that he shall be reaccepted into the clan." Changyang Zhu Yunshao rejoiced. He said, "I, Changyang Zhu Yunshao, declare in the name of a great elder of the Changyang clan that Changyang Zuyunkong's punishment shall be annulled and that he shall be reaccepted into the clan. I, Changyang Zhu Shao, declare in the name of a great elder of the Changyang clan that Changyang Zuyunkong's punishment shall be annulled and that he shall be reaccepted into the clan." I, Changyang, all the great elders annulled Changyang Zuyunkong's punishment, one after another. The 7 of them held the highest positions in the clan. If they all reached an agreement, they could make decisions for the entire clan. Changyang Zhu Yayan became extremely excited while turbid tears flowed from her eyes. She sobbed, Konger, are you seeing this? The clans annulled your punishment. You've returned back to the clan. They're no longer persecuting you for your mistakes all those years ago. Konger, where are you? So what if your Changyang clan drops the punishments for Changyang Zuyunkong? Does your Changyang clan really think you can take the winged tiger god for yourselves so easily? In addition, your clansman Changyang Shangtian wiped out a branch sect established by my Yangji sect. You must provide us with a satisfying explanation. Chen Yangzi spoke aloud. Changyang Qin Yun, the winged tiger god might be with a descendant from the Changyang clan, but it's impossible if your clan wants to take the winged tiger god for yourselves just because of this. The ancient beast god is related to a lot of extremely important matters, so it should be raised by all 10 of the protector clans. We should raise it into the guardian beast of the Tian Yuan continent. It will not belong to any of us. A white-robed, graceful-looking, middle-aged man said. He was a great elder from the Padian sect. You're right. I completely support that suggestion. The winged tiger god should be raised by all 10 protector clans. It must not become a guardian beast for just one of the clans among us. The speaker was a sage-like old man. He was one of the ancestors of the Heaven's Incense School. Other than the people from the Pure Heart Pavilion, who remained quiet, the 9 other clans all began arguing fiercely. They all wanted their own clans to obtain the right to raise the winged tiger god, but they did not want it to be controlled by the other clans. This was because once the winged tiger god truly matured, it would definitely surpass Saint Emperor. At that time, perhaps no one within the entire world would be able to fight it. The owner could sweep away the entire world, and even wiping out the protector clans would be as easy as pie. As a result, the protector clans definitely could not let any other person come into control of it so easily. Whoever controlled the winged tiger god would become the overlord of this world in the future. The Changyang clan faced the powerful opposition of the 8 clans and immediately felt a headache. They knew quite well that if they took the winged tiger god for themselves, the resistance they faced would become an unspoken disaster. Suddenly, the surrounding temperature abruptly dropped. A cold aura descended from the sky, immediately turning the surrounding area into a land of extreme cold. Flakes of snow filled the entire sky, covering the sun and suppressing its scorching rays. Meanwhile, the ground of the Changyang Manor was covered in a layer of silvery white frost in an extremely short amount of time, causing the guards and servants to shiver. They all stared at the sky full of snow that had suddenly appeared, tongue-tied, with disbelief flooding their eyes. The sudden snowstorm enveloped a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers. Within that area, the scorching weather immediately became ice-cold, stunning countless people. Because it was currently a sweltering summer, the scorching sun would bake the earth every day like an oven to a stifling level. Why would there suddenly be snow in a season like this? The 10 clans gathered at the manor were also stunned by the sudden snow. Everyone looked up as a light flickered through their eyes. They seemed to be able to see through the obstructing snowflakes and pierce through the void, while every single one of them became extremely grim. This is the Arctic Ice God Hall. The pavilion master of the Pure Heart Pavilion eyed the sky sternly and said with a deep voice. As soon as the pavilion master finished what she was saying, a humongous divine hall slowly materialized in the vast expanse of whiteness. It exceeded tens of thousands of meters in both length and width, and it seemed to have appeared by ripping through space. Received by the sky full of snow, it slowly descended with a shocking bearing. It really is the Arctic Ice God Hall. Doesn't this Ice God Hall never interfere in anything to do with the Tian Yuan continent? Even the war between the 3 races in the ancient times did not alarm it, so why has their divine hall descended here right now? Perhaps they've also come for the winged tiger god? A great elder from the Heaven's Incense School said gruffly. He was extremely solemn. The huge divine hall slowly descended from the sky, falling towards the manor. With its descent, a huge shadow loomed over half of the city, causing all those in it to pale in fear. Various cries with terror erupted from various places. Uncle Chang and the others were stunned by this sight. Each one of them stared blankly at the sky. None of them returned to them senses, as this scene had already completely exceeded what many of them could bear psychologically. The huge divine hall stopped 1,000 meters above the manor. The snow danced about happily around the hall, forming a hazy white fog that partially concealed it. The hall would come in and out of sight from time to time, producing an additional mysterious feel. Soon afterwards, a large group of people slowly floated down from the hall in the snowy air, like gods descending from heaven. The person leading the group was a female dressed in white. She seemed to be in her 20s, and possessed alluring beauty. Her snow-white long hair floated about in the bone-chilling air, while behind her several dozen people of various ages stood courteously. All of their gazes towards the lady were filled with a respect stemming from the depths of their hearts. As the people from the hall slowly landed onto the land of the manor, the leading lady's eyes were filled with sparkling tears. Her face was filled with an unconcealable excitement as she observed the Changyang manor. The group of people from the Ice God Hall naturally became the focus of everyone present. Especially the leading lady, she became someone that even the 10 protector clans paid great attention to. Uncle Chang and all the old members of the Changyang clan all focused on the girl. When Uncle Chang recognized her, his eyes narrowed abruptly and disbelief immediately flooded his eyes. This is definitely impossible. I must have seen wrong. A huge billowing formed in Uncle Chang's heart, disrupting all calmness he had. Not only was it Uncle Chang, but even the relatively senior guards and a few clansmen were all astounded when they saw the lady's face. Disbelief also overwhelmed them. When Ling Long, Yu Fengyan and Bai Yushuang saw the lady from within the crowd, they too narrowed their eyes abruptly. Afterwards, they paled in shock, disbelief overwhelming them. Yun Fengyan was particularly affected. Her small body began to shake uncontrollably while tears welled up in her eyes, pouring out like a surging fountain and flowing down her long face. As they fell, they were blown by the chilly wind, turning into droplets of crystal-like ice. With pouring tears, Yu Fengyan staggered out from the crowd, step by step. Her eyes towards the girl were filled with powerful yearning, and she said with a trembling voice, You were. Chapter 807, Holy Maiden of the Ice God Hall. With tears pouring from her eyes, Yu Fengyan staggered out from the crowd step by step. Her eyes towards the girl were filled with fond memories, and she said with a trembling voice, You were. With that, the white-dressed, white-haired lady immediately jerked violently. Shortly afterwards, her gaze focused on Yuan, who had stepped out from the crowd, while her tears began spilling from her eyes uncontrollably. Mother! The young lady gave out a call of emotion, turning into a white strike of light and shooting towards Yuan. She opened her arms and tightly hugged Yuan. The female was Changyang, the second young lady who had originally run away from home. After being gone for several years, there must have been a great change between the past her and the current her. Although she did not change much in appearance, her originally black, long hair was now white, a whiteness like snow. Not only was her hair affected but even her eyebrows were white, while a certain whiteness appeared on her rosy skin. She was very different from ordinary people. Yuan, is it really you? Is it really you? Yuan was extremely emotional. Her voice trembled, as if she could not believe the current sight of her daughter, who had disappeared without a sound years ago, having returned. Mother, it's me, I'm Yuan. Yuan's come to see you. Changyang threw herself into Yuan's bosom, crying aloud. In these years of being apart, she missed her own mother and her family too much. Yuan, you're really Yuan. My daughters returned, my daughters returned, my daughters finally returned. Yuan, you've made mother miss you so painfully. Yuan's voice had already become inaudible with her sobs. She originally thought that her daughter was no longer in this world anymore, and had already prepared for the worst-case scenario. Yet right now, Changyang sudden return had revived her despaired heart. Several great, serendipitous occasions had occurred so suddenly, to the point where the unexpected Yuan had begun to doubt whether she was dreaming or not, whether everything happening was real or not. The two of them wailed together like no one was present, essentially releasing all the suppressed yearnings from over the years. The 10 protector clans and the Radiant Saint Master Union, who had not left, floated silently in the sky. All of them, without any exception, focused on the group of people from the Ice God Hall and the Wailing Pair. Gleams of light flashed across everyone's eyes, revealing a doubtful expression. They were all trying to guess just what relationship Changyang had with the Arctic Ice God Hall for it to descend here. To the 10 protector clans that had some understanding of the Ice God Hall, this was an unprecedented event. At that very moment, a space gate suddenly formed in the middle of the sky. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City, Jian, walked out with several old men. As soon as they arrived, they directly focused on the huge divine hall floating 1,000 meters in the sky. They were astounded. This is the Arctic Ice God Hall. Why has it descended here? Jian asked with a deep voice, while his face had become extremely stern. Shortly afterwards, he seemed to sense something that caused him to look down. In the end, his gaze fell on the sobbing daughter and mother, and gleams of light immediately began to flicker through his eyes. He too became doubtful. At the same time, a white-robed, malevolent-looking, middle-aged man appeared out of nowhere dozen kilometers above the manor. He stared at the huge divine hall in surprise and murmured softly, "Why has the mysterious Ice God Hall appeared here? Don't they never interfere with anything in this world? Is everything because of that girl? Just who is that girl to be able to make this divine hall leave the Arctic and descend here?" The middle-aged man became rather stern, something he rarely showed. There was even a sliver of fear in the very depths of his eyes. Changyang Yun and Changyang Yunshao looked at each other. They both saw the joy in each other's eyes. They could already tell that this young lady was a member of the Changyang clan and was close with the Arctic Ice God Hall, which caused the two of them to become extremely happy. With this, didn't it mean that their Changyang clan had a connection to the ever-mysterious Arctic Ice God Hall? The 6 other great elders of the Changyang clan clearly noticed this too. They looked at each other, and a sliver of vague joy was present in all their eyes. Excluding the people from the Pure Heart Pavilion, who did not react much at all, the other 8 protector clans all became ugly in expression, all secretly swearing. The clan established by the expelled Changyang Yunkong was actually very extraordinary. Not only did it produce an unprecedented genius, Changyang Shangtian, that happened to get the winged tiger god to follow him on its own, it even produced a lady who had a connection with the Arctic Ice God Hall. Holy Maiden, your profound ice body has yet to fully awaken. You must not leave the divine hall for too long. At that moment, an old man who also came from the divine hall spoke courteously to Changyang Mingyue. Holy Maiden. Hearing how Changyang Mingyue was referred to by the old man, the people from the protector clans were all astounded, and their gazes towards her immediately underwent a great change. They did not know what position a holy maiden held in the Ice God Hall, but they knew that the old man was a terrifying Saint King. This was the only time someone had ever been referred to as a holy maiden by a Saint King so respectfully on the Tian Yuan continent. Even powerful Saint Emperors perhaps would not be able to make Saint Kings carry such an expression of respect. The people from the protector clans all looked at each other in the sky. They were all extremely curious with what was happening below them, as they could naturally tell that Changyang Mingyue was a fighter who had just become an Earth Saint Master. How was such a weak existence able to make a Saint King behave so courteously? They could not understand, no matter how much they thought. After the series of venting, the mother and daughter pair also slowly calmed down. Changyang Mingyue pulled away from her mother's bosom and wiped away her tears. She said, "Old man Zhou, it's rare for me to go home. Just let me stay for a little longer. Also, this piece of land has already been turned into a region of extreme cold. The effect shouldn't be too big if I stay here." The old man referred to as Zhou hesitated slightly before saying, "Holy Maiden, you can only stay here for half a day at most. After half a day, this old one will take the Holy Maiden into the Divine Hall, even if this one offends the Holy Maiden." "Thank you, old man Zhou." Changyang Mingyue understood her current situation very well, and spoke to old man Zhou gratefully. "Yuan, just what is this about?" Yu Fengyan stared at her daughter in astonishment. She felt extremely doubtful with why the old man was so courteous to his daughter, as well as why she was referred to as the Holy Maiden. Changyang Mingyue said, "Mothers, it's a long story, and there's many things that's still very unclear for Yuan herself. I'll explain the Ice God Hall to you in detail later." "Oh right, where's father? Why haven't I seen father?" Thinking of Changyang Ba, Yu Fengyan's complexion darkened. A sliver of deep sorrow appeared on her face and she said, "Yuan, your father's already dead." Changyang Mingyue jerked violently. She stared at Yu Fengyan in disbelief and said in surprise, "Mother, what did you say? Father's already dead?" Yu Fengyan nodded painfully. "Not only your father, your fourth aunt, Biyao Tian, is also dead. They were killed by a few saint rulers pursuing your youngest brother." Changyang Mingyue began to shake. She immediately became sorrowful and said, "Mother, then how is my youngest brother? Is he fine?" "Yuan, your youngest brother's fine. You might not know yet, but your youngest brother's already a saint ruler." A sliver of pride appeared on Yu Fengyan's face when mentioning Jian. "What? Already a saint ruler?" Changyang Mingyue was slightly astonished and could not help but smile happily, but it was soon replaced by sadness. She turned around to face old man Zhou. "Old man Zhou, I know your abilities are powerful. I want to find the murderers of my father. I want to avenge my father." Old man Zhou became troubled. "Holy Maiden, our Ice God Hall can't interfere with any matters of the continent. This old one really can't do anything for this. I hope the Holy Maiden can understand my pains. Old man Zhou, you can't even search for the murderers of my father?" A sliver of anger appeared on Changyang Mingyue's face. Old man Zhou shook his head, his expression both bitter and helpless. "Sister, you've finally returned." At that very moment, a deep voice sounded from behind. It was the burly Changyang who, walking over slowly with a faint smile hanging on his face. All the people of the manor looked towards the origin of the voice. When they saw that Changyang whose missing limbs had regrown miraculously, they all revealed astonished expressions. "Ahu, your legs, how did your legs?" Changyang whose mother immediately cried out in surprise. The pavilion master of the Pure Heart Pavilion seemed to sense something. She looked towards Changyang who as if she had suddenly realized something in her eyes, which had always remained plain and dull, exploded with a light. She cried out, "This is the state of great liberation." Hearing that, several experts of the Pure Heart Pavilion looked towards Changyang, who at the same time. They all cried out in surprise, "This really is the worldly transcendence realm of great liberation." The state of great liberation is a supreme level recorded in the Pure Heart Sutra, while worldly transcendence is the first realm of great liberation. The pavilion master was no longer able to maintain her calm. With a flash, she arrived beside Changyang, who and asked urgently, "Are you willing to become a disciple of the Pure Heart Pavilion?" Changyang, who eyed the pavilion master peacefully. Without any change in expression, he asked, "You want to take me in as your disciple?" The pavilion master shook her head and said excitedly, "No, I don't want to take you in as my disciple. No one in the Pure Heart Pavilion has the right to accept someone at the state of great liberation as a disciple. I only want you to become a disciple of the Pure Heart Pavilion and practice the Pure Heart Sutra. This is a path extremely suitable for you. As long as you become a disciple of the Pure Heart Pavilion, you'll be able to reach the great perfection of great liberation." The Pure Heart Pavilion. The Pure Heart Sutra. Changyang, who murmured, before slowly closing his eyes. He muttered, "I never thought my premonition would be right. I can become a disciple of the Pure Heart Pavilion, but my Changyang clan must be safe and sound." Chapter 808, Peace. The pavilion master of the Pure Heart Pavilion said, "Your worries are unnecessary. Your Changyang clan is a branch of the 10 protector clans that even gave birth to Changyang Xiangshaninen, an unprecedented genius. The protector Changyang clan will protect you all no matter what. One of the descendants of your clan is even the holy maiden of the Arctic Ice God Hall. With that connection, even if the 10 protector clans wanted to do anything bad to your Changyang clan, they'd need to plan prudently. Though the only problem would be the missing Changyang Shangtian with the winged tiger god. If you wanted to protect him, there would only be one way, getting him to hand it over." Changyang, who nodded, "All right, I will join your Pure Heart Pavilion and become a disciple of the pavilion. I am the pavilion master of the Pure Heart Pavilion, Wu Chen. Your name should be Changyang Hu. Changyang Hu, although you've comprehended the state of great liberation, you're only at the first realm. If you want to reach great perfection, you will need to sever everything, including the connections of family, friendship, and all of your concerns." The pavilion master said sternly. "Sever everything, including the connections of family, friendship, and all concerns." Changyang, who slowly closed his eyes as he murmured. He seemed to understand something. "No, Ahu, you can't join the Pure Heart Pavilion. I'm your mother. You can't forget your mother. And your second aunt, your third aunt, your sister Changyang Mingyue, your brother Changyang Ku and Changyang Shangtian. They're all your family. How can you forget them?" Hearing how Changyang, who wanted to sever all feelings he had, Ling Long immediately became frantic. She spoke urgently, while her voice carried a weird horror. She had even temporarily forgotten about Changyang Hu's healed limbs. Although Ling Long had thought about Changyang Hu being healed many times, if complete recovery came with a price of severing all connections of family, Ling Long was willing to have Changyang Hu remain as he was before. This was because she knew very well that once Changyang Hu severed all feelings and connections to family, she would lose him as a son. Her son would also no longer recognize her as a mother. This was an extremely painful matter. No mother ever wished for their son to turn out like this. Changyang Hu slowly opened his eyes. They were terrifyingly calm, without any ripple of emotion. "Mother, don't worry, no matter what I turn into, you will always be my mother. And father, Uncle Chang, second aunt, third aunt, fourth aunt, sister, younger brother, youngest brother, I won't forget any of you." "Ahu, are you really abandoning your mother?" Ling Long's complexion was miserable. She sobbed painfully, as if they were being separated from life. 2 streaks of painful tears rolled from her eyes. She had already lost her husband. She did not want to lose her son as well, as her son was her only mental support. Ling Long's grief finally caused some reaction in Changyang Hu's immovable mental state. His eyes, which had always been calm, finally showed a sliver of emotion. He arrived before Ling Long, and used his thick arms to tightly grab Ling Long's hands. "Mother, I will not abandon you. I am only going to the Pure Heart Pavilion to find the path I should take. Mother, I will come back to see you oftenly." Seeing that, the pavilion master sighed secretly. "If you don't completely sever your fixations and concerns, how are you going to reach great perfection? Looks like Changyang who still has a long way to go in the future." Reaching there, the pavilion master knew that if she left Changyang who like that for any longer, his fixations would perhaps grow stronger and stronger. With a wave of her hand, world force gently wrapped around Changyang Hu, taking him away. Afterwards, she left through a space gate along with everyone else from the Pure Heart Pavilion. Only an emotionless voice lingered in the air. "Mother of Changyang Hu, if you want your child to become an expert who stands on the apex of the continent, don't stop him. Otherwise, you'll only destroy his potential." Changyang Hu and the people from the Pure Heart Pavilion all disappeared. They had already departed. Ling Long stared blankly at the region in the sky where they had vanished, while tears gushed from her eyes like a fountain. "Ahu, Ahu, you need to come back. Mother will always wait for you here, until you return. You can't forget your mother." Ling Long murmured softly as if she had lost her wits. She was heartbroken. She treated it like if Changyang Hu left, he would never return again. This was because she knew that the next time she saw her son, he would probably no longer recognize her. "Sister, don't be so sad anymore. You don't need to worry. Ahu is so filial. He definitely won't forget you. I am confident that he will come and visit you again very soon." Yu Fengyan hurried to comfort her. The people from the Protector clan saw everything as they floated silently in the sky. None of them were able to stay calm, and many people looked towards Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Yeyun with unconcealable envy. This branch of the Changyang clan was extremely outstanding. It actually gave birth to 3 unequaled prodigies and instantly formed a deep connection with the Arctic Ice God Hall and the Pure Heart Pavilion of the 10 Protector clans. In particular, with how importantly the pavilion master viewed Changyang Hu, some of them had even believed that he would definitely become the future pavilion master. With that, the Changyang clan and the Pure Heart Pavilion would be drawn very closely. They could even believe that the Changyang clan had gained control over the Pure Heart Pavilion. "Looks like it's not very possible for us to threaten Jian Chen by controlling this side branch of the Changyang clan. Whatever. Many people of the Protector clan sighed secretly. Afterwards, they bid farewell to the people of the Ice God Hall courteously before slashing open a space gate and leaving with their own clansmen. Very soon, all the people had left, except for the Changyang clan. "Let's go too." The Radiant Saint Master Union President, who watched on from afar, gave out a gentle sigh. His mood became extremely heavy. Yang Yutian's background was much more powerful than he had imagined. They had a total of 4 siblings. The eldest brother had become a disciple of the Pure Heart Pavilion, while the sister Changyang Mingyue had become the Holy Maiden of the Arctic Ice God Hall. They even had the Protector Changyang clan supporting from behind. Their Radiant Saint Master Union could not take on any of the 3. The president had already realized that it was impossible to get the Saint artifact back, unless Yang Yutian handed it over willingly. All the people of the Union dispiritedly returned to the headquarters in the City of God through a space gate. Soon afterwards, Yun Tian departed from the huge castle on a white cloud, all by himself, while his gaze was extremely icy. "Yang Yutian, I never thought you'd actually have such a big background, but no matter how significant your background is, I, Yun Tian, will not let you have it easy. I wonder what the experts of the Beast God continent will do when they learn that the Winged Tiger God is with you." The Changyang clan of Lore City. Tian Jian stared deeply at the white-haired Changyang Mingyue, before saying quietly, "Let's go as well." With that, Tian Jian directly split open the space and formed a space gate. "Please wait, Grand Elder." Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's voice suddenly rang out. Tian Jian paused as he was about to enter the gaze. He turned around and looked towards the people from the Changyang clan with a gaze of mixed emotions. After a slight deliberation, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao clasped his hands at Tian Jian. "Senior Tian Jian, do you perhaps know the whereabouts of Konger's descendant, Changyang Shangtian?" If you want to find whereabouts of a descendant from your own clan, your Changyang clan has your own methods. Why ask me? Perhaps you can't even find a clansman as a protector clan? Tian Jian replied coldly before directly disappearing into the space gate with the elders behind him. Right after Tian Jian departed, an extremely powerful presence quickly and mightily spread out in the distance. It formed a ripple, constantly expanding into the surroundings, and very quickly covered the entire continent. Only a few supreme experts could sense the powerful presence. A sliver of light immediately flashed across the eyes of the 7 great elders from the Changyang clan. They narrowed their eyes at the distant horizon. The 8 other clans have already begun working together to cast the secret technique to search the entire continent. Looks like they've left us, the Changyang clan, out. Changyang Qingyun growled. So what if they've left us out? The winged tiger gods with a descendant of our clan. We need to quickly find him. Leaving the winged tiger god with him is unsafe. Another great elder said gruffly. Hearing that, Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Shao furrowed their eyebrows before relaxing. They said nothing. Changyang Qingyun looked towards the people from the Ice God Hall, and said, "Let's go talk with the people from the Ice God Hall. The Holy Maiden is from our Changyang clan. In other words, they're one of us as well." Changyang Qingyun conversed with Old Man Zhou from the Ice God Hall a little before soon reaching the topic of the Beast God continent. It's not like you protector clans don't know about the rules of my Ice God Hall. Although the Holy Maiden has some connections with your Changyang clan, the rules of the Ice God Hall must be withheld. Any battles on the Tian Yuan continent has nothing to do with the Ice God Hall. We, the Ice God Hall, will not be helping you repel the Beast God continent, even if it's just a single person. Old Man Zhou said coldly without showing any respect for Changyang Qingyun. Changyang Qingyun smiled awkwardly. He was not angered. He could not help but think about the rules set down in his clan since the ancient times. The first rule was to protect the Tian Yuan continent and repel invasions of outsiders. The second was to never provoke the Arctic Ice God Hall. Changyang Mingyue only stayed at the manor for half a day. During that time, the huge divine hall hung thousands of meters above the manor, causing the radius of 100,000 kilometers to freeze over in snow. A thick layer of snow had already formed. After that period of time, Changyang Mingyue bid farewell to her mother, Yu Fengyan, unwillingly. Afterwards, she was taken into the hall by Old Man Zhou, and the huge divine hall above the Changyang manor also began to levitate up slowly before finally disappearing. The disappearance of the divine hall caused the powerful snowing to stop. The scorching sun began to shine once again, illuminating the lands and slowly melting away the frost and snow. With the departure of the Arctic Ice God Hall, the protector Changyang clan also left. Only Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao stayed behind in Lore City, protecting the clan. This was a clan founded by their son, Changyang Zhu Yunkong. This was a mark their son had left behind in the past. The couple had decided to wait there until their son returned. Chapter 809, 3 Saint Island. In the sky above the southern oceans, Jian and Nubis were fused with the surrounding space. They utilized spatial force to traverse in the sky over the oceans. They had already become blurry figures, quietly zooming across the sky. With our speed, we should reach the island mentioned by Senior Tian Jian very soon. As he flew, Jian murmured to himself, but was heard by Nubis extremely clearly. The two of them currently had no idea what happened at the Changyang manor. Nubis' eyes flickered with a light of excitement. He said, "Although the inherited memories in my head has some information about the sea race, so many years have passed, the sea race has definitely also changed greatly. The information in my memories might not be entirely correct. Right now, how the sea race is like is unknown. I need to quickly find a place where I can absorb the hidden essence of my clansmen. If I absorb the essence of a fourth heavenly layer Saint King, my strength will definitely skyrocket. It'll greatly increase my ability to protect myself. Let's rest for some time if we can after we reach the island." You can use that time to absorb the essence. Jian smiled. Right now Nubis was a great source of help for him, so, naturally, it would be better the stronger he was. The two of them traveled for another 2 hours in the sky before finally coming across a very large island. Anchored at the harbor of the island were various sailboats of different sizes, with many simple fishermen hurrying about, constantly moving goods. This should be the island mentioned by Senior Tian. Let's go have a look, Jian said, before heading towards the island with Nubis. The island was very large, almost half the size of the Jian kingdom. However, there were not many people who lived on it, only a measly few 100,000 people, and a large portion of it was undeveloped wilderness. A huge, 100-meter tall stone tablet was inserted into the ground at the harbor, and on it were 3 large, finely engraved words, 3 Saint Island. Jian and Nubis descended into a dense forest on the island before walking towards the small city not too far away. It was the only city of the island, and the entire population of the island lived there. At this very moment, the clip-clopping of horses could be heard vaguely in the distance. A group of 100 men on extremely simple horses slowly galloped over. They wore simple clothes. They were peaceful-looking and without the slightest killing intent, extremely different from the fighters on the Tian Yuan continent. All young, this time, when we head out to sea for a month, we need to catch an even larger fish and broaden the horizons of the people. The burly, middle-aged man walking at the front laughed aloud. His tone was bold. Brother Wei is right. We need to capture an even larger fish this time to show off our might in place of the Ranka squad. A young man in his late 20s said from beside the middle-aged man. His voice was filled with thick excitement. Half a month ago, the Ranka squad caught a fish over 30 meters long and caused a hubbub in our 3 Saint city. Many fishing squads admired them. This time, when we go out to sea for a month, everyone needs to work hard. We must bring back an even bigger fish to show off to the Ranka squad and show them how powerful our Blue Banner squad is. The group of 100 men spoke as they rode their simple horses before quickly coming across Jian and Nubis. Their exotic attires immediately became the center of attention for the group of people, each observing them in amazement. The group of people stopped 10 meters before Jian. The leader, the burly middle-aged man, spoke to the two of them. "Oh, brothers, looking at what you're wearing, you shouldn't be people from our 3 Saint Island, right?" Jian and Nubis both stopped and roughly glanced over the group of 100. Other than the leading middle-aged man, who was an Earth Saint Master, they consisted of Saint Masters and Great Saint Masters. Jian clasped his hands at the man. "Sir has a broad insight. The two of us indeed are not people from the island. Since the two of us were recognized by Sir with a single glance, perhaps there are other outsiders that visit this island often?" The man did not analyze Jian's intentions at all. He said boldly, "I'm Zhou Wei, the eldest in my Blue Banner fishing squad, so all the members of the squad call me Brother Wei. The 3 Saint Island indeed has some outsiders who come, but there's extremely few. If I remember correctly, the last time someone came to our 3 Saint Island seemed to be 10 years ago. Oh right, I wonder how the two brother would like to be referred as? I am Jian, and the person beside me is Nubis." Jian said simply. He did not look down on the mere Earth Saint Master, even though he was a saint ruler. "It's the great Nubis." Nubis correctly immediately, before viciously eyeing Zhou Wei. A sliver of disdain appeared on his face and he said, "Even you, a little kiddo, dares to call me, the great Nubis, brother? Humph, do you want to die? I have lived close to 1,000 years. That's more than enough to be your grandfather. Nubis, tone it down. Your disposition will only cause trouble for nothing." Jian grimaced slightly and spoke unhappily. "Humph, I'll let them off this time." Nubis sneered gently and turned away arrogantly. He would definitely not allow weak people to directly call him by his name. Jian clasped his hands at the surrounding people apologetically. "Apologies, my brother's temperament is quite bad. If you have been offended, please forgive me." No problem, it was me who was rude." I've forgotten that all the outsiders are powerful heaven saint masters. Sirs, you must have come to seek the teachings of the mistress of our three-saint island, to hope that you can reach Saint Ruler. Zhou Wei seemed to understand the intentions of outsiders extremely well. As he spoke, he pointed behind him. Do you see that huge mountain? That's the holy grounds of the island, called Three Saint Mountain. That's where the three saintesses live. Jian Shen looked towards the mountain and then clasped his fist at Zhou Wei. He said, "Many thanks for Sir's information. We still have things to do, so we will be bidding farewell first." With that, Nubis and Jian Shen quickly flew towards the mountain. Very soon, the two of them arrived at the mountain peak. They did not hide their presence, so, as long as it was a saint ruler, people would be able to sense their arrival. I wonder who has come to my three-saint island? State your name. A gentle, pleasant voice originated from the sky above the mountain. With two flashes of white light, two young, white-dressed women appeared, both carrying zither. The two females only seemed to be 20 years old. Their appearances were fair and alluring, rare beauties in the world. They were pretty enough rival with Yu, Huang Yuan, Kara Liwei, and so on. However, the two girls before them carried a celestial aura, like fairies. They clearly had some small differences compared to normal women. This was something that Huang Yuan, Yu, and so on lacked. Saint rulers. In the instant Jian Shen saw the two women, he was slightly shocked. The two girls before him were actually powerful saint rulers. I am Jian Shen from the Tian Yuan continent. I want to seek the mistress of the island for some matter, Jian Shen said with clasped hands. His gaze paused on the zither held to their chests for a moment, and the light in his eyes flickered. He was thinking of something. The mistress of the island is currently in seclusion. She cannot come to meet guests. Please come back after a few days. One of the women said softly. Jian Shen furrowed his eyebrows. After a slight hesitation, he asked, "Then when will the island mistress come out of seclusion?" This is not something the two of us know. It may be a few days, a few months, a few years, or even a few decades. The woman continued. It's a pity you've come too late. If you came 3 months earlier, you would have been able to meet the mistress. Another woman said. Arg. Suddenly, a howl filled with utmost pain reverberated from a cave on the mountain peak. With it followed various rumbles as countless rocks were sent flying from the cave. At the same time, the invisible world force in the surroundings slowly gathered towards the hole, while an extremely profound presence descended from the void. There's someone breaking through to Saint Ruler. Jian Shen's eyes narrowed abruptly and called out deeply. A sliver of shock had appeared in even Nubis' eyes. The two of them had also experienced the breakthrough to Saint Ruler, so naturally they could tell that someone was in the process of breaking through. However, the expressions of the two Saint Ruler women changed. They immediately cried out, "Crap, he's woken again. Quickly, use the sound of the zither to suppress his awakenings and make him sleep again. We can't let the mysteries of the world descend on him." Chapter 8:10, Blocking the Mysteries of the World. The two women no longer paid any attention to Jian Shen and Nubis. They directly sat down in the air and placed the zither they carried onto their knees. Then they used their white, elegant fingers to quickly but dexterously strum the zither strings, creating a faint, divine melody. The sound echoed through the surroundings, covering the entire Three Saint Mountain. It seemed to hum with space, causing slight distortions in the surrounding space. Even space was affected before this enchanting sound. It seemed to be dancing happily with the zither. When Jian Shen and Nubis heard the nature-like zither sound, they could not help but change in expression. They looked at each other, both of them carrying a sternness, because this sound had caused some influence to their minds. They felt like their emotions and their thoughts were led about by the sound, and could not help but become intoxicated. What powerful zither music! Jian Shen was secretly surprised. This music, played by the two women, was not even targeted at him. If it were, Jian Shen understood that the effects would definitely not be as gentle as that. Junior, make him fall asleep with the sleeping melody. I'll prevent the mysteries of the world from descending, one of them said grimly. Although she was a saint ruler, it was extremely difficult to stop the descent of the mysteries of the world. Yes, senior. I'll come help you immediately after I make him fall back asleep. The other woman spoke sternly before abruptly changed the way she played the zither. The music produced became much softer, and it contained an infinite charm. It could pierce through all obstructions to affect the spirits of people, causing them to become sleepy. The other woman's music also changed. Her slender fingers had already turned into blurs as they danced about on top of the zither strings, causing a murderous melody to fill all the surroundings. It caused the sky to surge like a storm where the surroundings reacted to it. Under the effect of the murderous melody, all the energy of the world and world force above the island were affected. They gathered from all directions under the melody's control before linking up to form a great, tightly knit but invisible net, layering together to seal up the entire sky and, as a result, obstruct the descent of the mysteries of the world. In addition, visible notes shot out from the zither one by one. They quickly flew towards the mysteries of the world with murderous intent in an attempt to interfere with its descent. The enigmatic mysteries of the world slowly descended from the sky with a profound aura. As the murderous notes struck it, it would ripple slightly, but it did not disperse and soon collided with the huge net. The net could interfere its descent, but it could not stop it. The mysteries of the world slowly sank into the net, descending towards the cave. The woman who blocked the mysteries of the world became even more grim. The melody played by her abruptly changed, and the murderous feeling suddenly disappeared, replaced by a muffled tune. This time the woman played at a much slower speed, but with every string she struck the muffled sound would reverberate in the sky. It contained a great power, as if it was capable of directly crushing the hearts of people. The surroundings were also greatly affected, and the entire region of space distorted greatly. As for where the mysteries descended, the space was directly annihilated, creating a black hole with a diameter of 3 meters in an attempt to engulf the mysteries. The mysteries descended from the sky after passing through the various obstructions. Even though there were many, it continued forwards with an extremely steady pace. No matter what it was, nothing could stop its advance. It directly ignored the black hole formed from the destroyed space and passed through it, continuing onwards. The mysteries of the world this time is much more powerful than last time. Junior, quickly make him fall back asleep, I can't last much longer. The woman responsible for blocking the descent became frantic and, shortly afterwards, the melodies rang out hurriedly once again. The visible waves of sound shot out with great lethality, flying towards the mysteries like suicide attacks. But even with all of this, it was unable to stop the descent of the mysteries. Currently, the mysteries of the world that slowly fell from the sky were less than 1,000 meters from 3 Saint Mountain. Arg! A shrill cry filled with utmost pain rang out. Shortly afterwards, the cave in the distance rumbled loudly a few times, causing the entire mountain to shake slightly. Crap, his mental shock is too great. It's extremely difficult for him to fall back asleep with my sleeping melody. The other woman's expression changed greatly and called out. Hearing that, the woman responsible for obstructing the mysteries darkened. After a period of silence, she spoke out, "There's not much time left. If he doesn't fall asleep, he'll die for sure when the mysteries descend. Use the spirit-controlling melody to control his mind." With that, the woman turned around to Jian and Nubis. She requested, "Two sirs, please help us out in repelling the descent of the mysteries of the world." "Just what's happening? Why are you preventing other from becoming a saint ruler?" Jian asked hoarsely. "There's no time to explain it right now. We just can't let the mysteries of the world descend for him, or he'll die for sure." The woman replied with a deep voice, while she continued playing the zither. Visible sound waves with murderous intent shot towards the mysteries powerfully, slowing its descent. Nubis crossed his arms and sneered slightly, "Humph, what has other people's lives got to do with me? I, the great Nubis, won't be saving a mere heaven saint master's life. And fending off the mysteries of the world isn't that easy." After a slight deliberation, Jian did not choose to only watch on. The soybean-sized chaotic Maiden in his dantian spat out strands of chaotic force, filling up every inch of his body. He pushed his chaotic body to the maximum before arriving below where the mysteries descended with a tremble. He directly threw a fist upwards. When Jian's fist collided with the mysteries, it actually just passed through. The mysteries were formed by the laws of the world and were not tangible. Jian's punch did not affect it at all. The light in Jian's eyes flickered. With a thought, the surrounding space immediately froze in an attempt to stop the descent of the mysteries. However, what surprised Jian was that the mysteries completely ignored the frozen space. It moved about freely, just as before, and slowly descended. What weird stuff. My attacks and the freezing of space can't affect it at all. Looks like using world force is useless. I can only try chaotic force now. Jian thought, before surging chaotic force began to leak from his body. It directly condensed around his hands before he pushed them. The chaotic force flew towards the mysteries with a presence of destruction. As soon as the chaotic force came in contact with the mysteries of the world, both energies fell into a deadlock, keeping each other at bay. Meanwhile, the descent of the mysteries was finally stalled. However, this did not last for very long. Although Jian's chaotic force was powerful, it was not the complete chaotic force, and since it was not steadily supplied, it was consumed in just a few seconds and vanished. Without the chaotic force as an obstruction, the mysteries continued downwards. Watching as the strand of chaotic force sent out disappeared so quickly, Jian also felt pained. His chaotic Maiden was already tiny, he did not have much chaotic force left. With every portion he used, it would disappear. It was extremely difficult to recover. Watching as the mysteries of the world grew closer and closer to the cave, Jian also became uneasy. He was currently deliberating over whether he should expend some more chaotic force to help out someone he had never even met. At this very moment, an elegant but dignified zither melody slowly appeared in the sky. It seemed to be divine, and with its appearance the entire space became blurry. Clear ripples had appeared. The divine melody was played by the world. At this moment, the entire region of space seemed to become a huge zither, while the ripples of space that constantly appeared were the strumming of strings. As the strings formed from the space were constantly hit, the laws of the world seemed to be forcefully changed by a mysterious power, causing the space around 3 Saint Mountain to become its own world, a different domain. And in this domain, the descending mysteries of the world were forcefully halted, as if they were locked up mid-air by a mysterious energy and unable to move at all. When the 2 saint rulers heard the zither, they immediately rejoiced. They both stopped playing and called out, "Master, you've finally come out of seclusion." Arg! A shrill cry rang out from the cave again. It was filled with pain, as if it was enduring unbearable torture. "And you're still not sleeping." An illusionary voice originated from the space, and it seemed to be filled with an utmost charm. With just this single sentence, it seemed to be able to make everything in the world fall asleep. With that, the cries from the cave finally stopped, and shortly afterwards there was the sound of something heavy falling onto the ground. Afterwards, there was only silence. The words did not only affect the person gone mad in the cave. Even Jian and Nubis were greatly affected. The 2 of them immediately felt lightheaded. Their eyelids felt heavy, and they became drowsy. However, the 2 of them returned to their senses very quickly. They were both greatly shocked, and great waves rose in their hearts. Even as saint rulers, they were affected. The charm of the sound could not longer be described as terrifying. If they were in a battle and they suddenly became distracted, it would be life-threatening. What a terrifying melody! What terrifying sound. This woman must be a demoness. Nubis, who was always prideful and arrogant, had currently hidden away his attitude completely. A deep fearfulness appeared in his eyes. Chapter 8:11, Mistress of 3 Saint Island. The almost divine zither music remained. The music was gentle, as if it were the changes in the laws of the world, but as a sound. It seemed like it was using a special method to control the laws, forcefully changing them and setting up its own laws, making the region become its own domain. Both Jian and Nubis became extremely grim. They looked upwards at the azure sky, filled with inexplicable horror. As saint rulers, they naturally could feel the changes in the region. The laws of the world were changed by the sound of a zither. The ability was inconceivable to the two of them. The mysterious person who played the zither already had a terrifying level of understanding for the zither. The descending mysteries of the world were forcefully trapped by the changed laws. They paused for a while before slowly rising up the sky, being forcefully sent out of the region. The mysteries of the world disappeared into the azure sky. In the blink of an eye, the mysteries, things that three saint rulers struggled to deal with, were nullified by a mysterious, hidden person with a song. A purple-dressed woman walked over slowly and gently from the distance. She was tall and her black, glossy hair fell naturally, so lustrous that it could even serve as mirrors. Her face was obscured by a green veil, only revealing her limpid phoenix eyes. Her eyes were bright and enchanting. Her elegant fingers, as delicate as jade, caressed the zither strings. Her thin waist, which could be easily caught with one arm, was extremely soft, and as she walked it twisted about gently, like a beautiful snake. The woman exuded a celestial aura. She was solemnly divine, like an otherworldly fairy, or even more like a goddess who had descended into the mortal realm from the 9 heavens. She was clearly vastly different from ordinary girls. Although her appearance was hidden, it was not difficult to imagine how beautiful she was. She seemed to be born by the world, spoiled fondly by the heavens, and perfect all over. Demoness, this must be a demoness, a terrifying demoness. A sliver of paleness appeared on Nubis' face. He could not help but take a step backwards and stand behind Jian. He felt a fear for the woman from the very depths of his soul. This was extremely rare, even when he stood before a saint king. This was not because the woman's strength was terrifying, but rather her existence and the abilities she used were the nemesis of all magical beasts. She used the zither to control everything in the surroundings and injure enemies. Her ability with the zither had already reached a shockingly scary level. Meanwhile, although magical beasts were much stronger than humans in battle, their souls were their weak point. "I greet Master." The two women courteously greeted the purple-dressed lady with their zither in their arms. Not only was she the mistress of 3 Saint Island, she was also the master of the two of them. Jian also noticed the purple-dressed woman. His eyes narrowed abruptly, and he called out huskily, "Saint of the Zither, the heavenly enchantress." The lady was the heavenly enchantress that Jian had met in Mercenary City. The heavenly enchantress stood in the air with her zither while a colorful light flickered in her captivating eyes. She shifted her gaze slightly and looked towards Jian in the distance. Instantly, a sliver of light flashed across her indifferent eyes. She said softly, "I think I've met you before. Are you Jian, the previous king of mercenaries?" The heavenly enchantress's voice was extremely gentle, like the most pleasant tune in the world, yet also carried a bewitching charm. She was able to affect the moods of people from just her voice. Demoness, it really is a demoness. You can bewitch people even by only speaking." Nubis, hiding behind Jian, cried out while the fear in his eyes deepened. With just a few words, the blood in his veins sped up and he even felt some loss of control over his emotions. Jian's mood was also wavered slightly by the heavenly enchantress's bewitching voice. However, with his willpower, it did not affect him very much. He eyed the woman with a weird light and clasped his eyes. "Junior is Jian. I'd never think that Senior would remember it. It is truly an honor of mine." The heavenly enchantress stared at Jian unblinkingly with her pretty eyes for a while, before giving out a soft sigh. She said, "I'd never have thought that after just a few years, you'd become a saint ruler." Junior was relatively lucky, and only reached saint ruler a little earlier. It's not worth mentioning. Compared to Senior, Junior is like a firefly trying to outshine the moon. Jian clasped his hands. The heavenly enchantress no longer paid any more attention to Jian. She looked towards her disciples and said softly, Xiao Qian, Xiao Yu, you should go have a look at his situation. Yes, master. The two women replied courteously before flying towards the cave together and disappearing into it. Jian Chen's eyes followed the two disciples as they moved, watching them disappear into the dark cave in the distance. He could not help but feel curiosity, so he asked, Senior, just who is the person living in that cave? Why must you stop him from becoming a saint ruler? The heavenly enchantress gazed towards the cave in the distance, and only after a long while did she finally begin speaking slowly. He's a descendant that was expelled from one of the 10 protector clans. An extremely powerful seal was set down in his mind, sealing his talent and preventing him from becoming a saint ruler. If the mysteries of the world descend, it would trigger the seal in his mind and turn it into a battlefield. He would be greatly affected by the ripples of it and would have his soul wiped out in the end. It'll disperse forever, even Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters wouldn't have the power to revive him. A descendant expelled from the 10 protector clans? Jian Shen repeated softly, his voice filled with a sliver of shock. Shortly afterwards, a sliver of cold light flashed across his eyes. He could not forget that he had now left the Tian continent exactly because of the pursuit of the 10 clans. Senior, do you know much about the protector clans? Are you able to tell Junior about it? Jian Chen asked. The heavenly enchantress eyed Jian Chen plainly and said, with your current strength, you should know about this. The 10 protector clans are the most powerful organizations on the continent, other than Mercenary City. They have existed for an extremely lengthy amount of time, having already existed even before Mo Tianyun had appeared in the ancient times. Of the 10 clans, 4 are sects, 3 are schools, 2 are clans and 1 is a pavilion. The 4 sects are the Padian sect, Shinshao sect, Yangji sect and the Yuan sect. The Yangji sect. I'd never thought they're actually a protector clan. Jian Chen murmured hoarsely. He could not help but think about the small sect he had wiped out in the past in the Changyang kingdom. The heavenly enchantress continued, the 3 schools are the Heaven's Incense School, the Tyrant's Blade School and the Heartless School, while the remaining 2 clans and pavilion are the Changyang clan, Moyuan clan and Pure Heart Pavilion respectively. The Changyang clan. As soon as he heard that, Jian Chen was startled. He could not help but think of the Changyang clan in Lore City. However, he then laughed at himself. The Changyang clan he was born into was only a small clan in Lore City. The strongest was only Uncle Chang as a Heaven Saint Master. The disparity would be huge if it was compared to the protector Changyang clan. Looks like it's most likely just a coincidence. If the Changyang clan of Lore City was really a part of the 10 protector clans, why would they have been suppressed to such a level by the Huayan sect? Jian Chen thought. However, he then seemed to think of something, and a sliver of light immediately flashed across his eyes. Wait, the descendant expelled from the protector clans. Jian Chen's expression changed several times before asking out, Senior, what is the name of the person expelled from the protector clans? He is Changyang Zuyunkong. The heavenly enchantress replied softly. Changyang Zuyunkong. Is he perhaps a member of the Changyang clan? The ancestor of my Changyang clan just happened to have disappeared a very long time ago. Is this a coincidence? Jian Chen muttered softly, while his expression changed several times quickly again. He then clasped his hands at the heavenly enchantress and requested, Senior, is it possible for me to see this person? He is already asleep. Don't create too great of a commotion and awaken him, or he'll suffer great injuries. The heavenly enchantress spoke softly, carrying a bewitching charm with her words. With her permission, Jian Chen did not hesitate at all. He entered the cave with a blur. The cave was filled with fist-sized luminous pearls which gave off a soft light, illuminating the entire cave. When Jian Chen had traveled 100 meters in, the space before him suddenly opened. He had arrived at a huge cavern of several dozen meters in radius. Currently, the walls were covered with cracks while some loose pebbles lay scattered across a floor covered with ditches. It was a mess. In the center of the cavern stood Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu. Meanwhile, a disheveled, tattered-clothed, beggar-like old man slept soundly before them. Jian gently walked over and stared fixedly at the old man on the ground. The old man's face was ancient and haggard. He was currently sleeping peacefully. "Be careful, don't wake him up." A pleasant voice sounded in Jian's ear. It was one of the women with the zither. Jian examined the old man's appearance, while the light in his eyes constantly flickered. After a slight hesitation, he said, "I want to ask him some things." "No. Once he wakes up, it'll attract the mysteries of the world, and the seal in his mind will be triggered. He'll suffer great pain." Jian's request was immediately shot down by the other woman. "What relationship do you have with Changyang's Yuan?" Suddenly, a charming voice appeared. The heavenly enchantress walked in elegantly with the zither of the demonic cry. Her voice was extremely plain, without the slightest emotion. Jian paused slightly and said, "Senior, my original name wasn't Jian, but rather Changyang Shangtian. I was born to the Changyang clan of a small kingdom. The original founder of my clan, the Changyang ancestor, was a heaven saint master, and it just so happens that he's been missing for a very long time. I suspect that this old man called Changyang Zhu Yunkong might be the ancestor of my Changyang clan. I wish that Senior can awaken him and allow Junior to ask him about his identity." After a slight deliberation, the heavenly enchantress orders, "Shao Qian, Shao Yu, play the soul-comforting melody." "Yes, master." The two women did not hesitate at all before crossing their legs mid-air and placing their zither on their knees. As their fingers moved slightly, a wonderful zither sound was immediately generated. It was gentle, filled with serenity. It seemed to be able to comfort the emotions of a person, to allow that person to calm down. When the music reached Jian's ears, his slightly excited and frantic feelings also disappeared very quickly and was replaced by a calmness. The heavenly enchantress touched a string of her zither with an elegant finger. With a slight trembling, a note appeared that immediately began to slowly wake the sleeping old man. "You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."